Hello, everybody. How are you doing today on this fine morning? It is 6:13 a.m. where I am, you beautiful somebodies. And I wanted to do something a little different. Well, not a little different. It's just been a while since I've done a Nobody Talks episode here, doing a little bit commentary. So, yeah, of course, hit that like button. Shill, children, shill. But yeah, I'm having a good time tonight or today, this morning. What is sleep? Sleep doesn't exist for me right now. Oh God. Okay, let's see who all is here. Let's see. 40K Empress came in. I know that she did a follow real quick. She is dangerously silenced, but I think that's because I believe that she is streaming right now and was just kind of saying hi. Let's see. We got You Lash One coming in saying, hey, nobody. Jose JX or Jose Jinx. Jose Jinx. Jose Jinx. And then I talk a little too much, testing out my chat, but I always do. And King of the Monsters always coming in. Chilling for the greater good, I like to say. And Streelabs doing its thing as well. I need to turn that off at some point. And then we got C3 Old Man Cad coming in. How you doing today, sir? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Shield Maiden coming in. Love seeing ya. And Byron of Sidious. Ooh. Been a while since I've seen you, good sir. And who is our final somebody? I'm not answering that question, Shield Maiden. Technically, it's still made. All right, and we got St. Hugo and Yasto. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, been doing some little bit of research. Oh, and look who just came in with 99 cents saying absolutely nothing. We got King of the Monsters coming in with 99 cents. Thank you so much, King of the Monsters. You are a gem to the community and to Smash JT, who is my real daddy. And you guys know what the rules are. And if you don't know what the rules are, ooh, actually, I might take that video as well. $50, we do the pink mask. And at $100, we do the Yes Daddy mask. Yes, I will wear this for the entire stream. So then if we hit 150, I wear the gray beard mask. So those are our tiers. Don't be pressured to donate, but if you do, I would appreciate that. All right, let's get into the content here. So I was looking around, and you know when you watch videos and you think, oh, that's a great video, you know, and you don't think, oh wait, that's good content. And then I saw my friends reacted, and I'm like, what the fuck? I thought that was my video, but no, everyone else gets to share, apparently. Actually, I'm gonna tell you guys something before we get into the content. I did something really stupid. So I went to the restroom, and as you know, I have this mug, and you know, I wasn't gonna go all the way downstairs and wash it in the kitchen or anything like that. You know, I was like, okay, you know, soap is soap, and so I put a little soap in this mug. You know, wash it out a little bit. I didn't wash it very well, so I downed, and then I put Mountain Dew in here, and then it got all soapy. So my first drink in it was just this horrible mixture of Mountain Dew and hand soap. And I thought I was having a weird morning with like a cramped leg. Like, just a weird morning already. Okay. Well, anyway. So, actually, let's not start with the pride one. We're gonna talk about strength, and what does that mean here in entertainment today when it comes to our plays, our gaming, our TV, our basically just entertainment in general and how that's been reflecting in the last 20 years. And there is a fantastic YouTuber who goes by Pata, and I will be linking his YouTube channel at the beginning, and I will do it at the end of the video, because no matter what, just every single one of his videos is incredibly insightful. So that is Pata Plays. He usually doesn't play anything, as far as I can tell, but let's get into it. All right, I might need to lower myself a little bit.
I've grown quite worried about the trajectory of what humans perceive as strength, not only in entertainment media, but even in influencers and perceived role models. This is a steady decline that has been gradually moving towards shaping the very definition of strength. For me, this is actually quite a fascinating topic because of how blind a lot of people are to what is actually happening, almost as though they know the counterfeit better than the genuine.
The thing is, I might be putting the horse before the cart, or the cart before the horse here, but you know what? Yeah, Kingdom Monsters, there, I think there is quite a lot about that, because when I was growing up, it was, elementary school in the mid to late 90s. And then it was like early 2000s, middle school, where just, the thing is, like, the one thing about the 90s is, like, divorce, like I'm the child of divorce. Um, Technically, like, 4 of them. My grandma's been married like 7 or 8 times. 2 of them were to the same guy. So there's a lot of divorce in my family. And I think that there is this misconception of strength where, especially with the feminist movement, um, where depending on what group you were in, uh, not a man's strength, but strength in general seemed to be unwanted in the group, but then you would see people, going towards, the strength of other people. And it's very confusing as a young man in his teens. And I think it was teaching young men the wrong impression. Well, just the wrong lessons, because there's no lessons to learn. They didn't even know.
What do I mean by this? There is an interesting phenomenon called perceptual expertise that I'll use as an illustration. Anyone who handles cash on a constant basis, especially in a profession, gain an incredible ability to easily identify counterfeits. Now, something I find insane about this phenomenon is that it isn't actually taught. It is grown through exposure. Bank tellers and cashiers handle genuine banknotes all day. This constant, repeated exposure allows them to develop an intuitive sense of what feels right. The texture, color, weight, print clarity, and even embedded features of real currency. Over time,
I think what he's talking about, if you could boil it down, but that's a really great analogy of, I mean, I think that there's natural instincts that we're born with, right? Like, if we see a snake, like, you don't necessarily have to be taught a lot of the time that, oh, that's a snake, it could bite you, because we have, a lot of evolutionary things that, that's just embedded in our DNA. You see a snake, don't go near it. And who do we got?
Did my gift fix your streaming issue? _ somebody profile.
Yes, it did, and a combination of things, actually, between you, and if you guys don't know, James OP over here, he gifted me. He sent me over. By the way, I never read your real name. I didn't, not even once. Didn't even look. So I still have no idea. Your secret's still safe. So I was having a hard time multi-streaming. And with my internet, it was impossible. So it's a combination of things. So yours did really help. And then yes, James OP Dono in several different factors this morning. So he sent that over. And essentially it was kind of like this weird hardwire that you connect to your router, and then through the electricity in your walls, it like transfers to your computer through LAN through Ethernet. So there's that. So that helped immensely there. But I just, either way, I still just have shitty internet. That was like one half of the problem. And then Tomby said, "Hey, why don't you just do this?" So what I'm doing is I'm using the equivalent of OBS. I am using an encoder. Actually, I could just show you guys if you want. No, let's not show you. So what I'm doing is through my encoder, so through Meld Studio, the equivalent to OBS. Yeah, I'm not getting even close to a gigabit, James. I'm just getting decent internet now. So, which is still something better than what I had before. So what I'm doing is I'm encoding and I'm only actually streaming from my computer to Rumble. And Rumble has a new feature where you can add in Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. So Rumble is actually doing all the encoding and sending it to all the other streaming platforms for me. So it's taking that the extra heavy lifting that it takes to multi-stream. I'm saving a lot of bandwidth with Rumble, baby. Who would have known that they would have been the answer to a ton of my multi-streaming problems? Shit. Where was I in the video? Hey, Roadkill, how you doing? I have no idea where we were at in the video. Oh yeah, we were talking about instinct. So he's talking about a bank teller and how you could feel counterfeits by its look, its texture, its weight, through a lot of factors, just by exposure, by experience. And maybe this is because I used to watch a lot of red pill content. I think that there's just been a generation or three of children that just have not had basically a father in the house. I mean, just be honest. There hasn't been a father house. There hasn't been this masculinity, this sense of sacrifice. And I'm not saying that every man or every father is the best person in the world. No, I'm not. I am not seeing that. But what I would say is that just an exposure of some sort of strength, masculinity, a sense of sacrifice, learning through hardship, like just a whole lot of stuff like that I think a lot of men like me, as a young boy, I only saw my dad visitation every third week, so I didn't get to see him a lot, and I think I did miss out a lot because probably the saddest thing I think it was very eye opening. So I asked him what it was like to be away from me as a kid, and I think I was like 17. And he said, "Well, every time that, I'd come down, pick you up, I just saw less of me in you." And that's probably the most heart-wrenching thing I think I've ever heard my dad say. And he doesn't cry. He's like a man's man. Like he has basically every bone in his body kind of broken just from doing carpenter shit like his entire life. Like wakes up at 5 a.m, writes a list and still does shit even though he's limping all over the place. So it's like, "Dad, get off the roof." He's that kind of guy. But yeah, I I never thought I'd hear my dad say something like that. Most people would like be fairly emotional about. "I just saw less of you. I just saw less of me in you." He said I was becoming more fearful, more afraid. He didn't find out what later till what was going on with my stepdad at the time. I'm on stepdad number 3, by the way. So I sure do hope so, King of the Monsters. Sure do hope so. But remember, choose your partners wisely. Alyssa is not your boo. We need to get you help. Anyway, that's my 2 cents there. What else does Patty have to say?
Time they built this mental prototype or baseline of what authentic notes look like. So when a counterfeit does come along, it stands out. Not necessarily because the cashier knows exactly what's wrong, but because it doesn't match the baseline they've naturally internalized. Their brain subconsciously flags it as unfamiliar or off. Now, you could probably see where I'm going with this. I believe that a lot of modern writers and influencers are more exposed to a counterfeit strength.
Did you guys catch that?
I believe that a lot of modern writers and influencers are more exposed to a counterfeit.
My current arch nemesis is on here. The thing is, like, Patty, like, he's a really informed guy, but it's really interesting when I see, like, I see Tectone, like, he went, and he reacted to a video or two about Alyssa Mercante, and I'm just screaming from the top of my lungs. I'm like, watch my video on her dissertation. Watch my video on her dissertation. You have no idea. Dude, like, none of them, like Nux Taku and Tectone, I don't even think they even know a whole lot about the lawsuit, what's going on. Like, the lawsuit thing is actually in just a macro, is very micro. It's only like in our community. It's super weird. It's super, super weird.
Strength than they are to actual genuine strength. So to them, genuine.
So what I like that he did here is that he did show a lot of different spectrums. So like I said before, like I was so Jake Paul. So we go back. So basically there's this caricature that it seems like he's kind of showing.
Consciously flags it as unfamiliar or off. Now you could probably see where to a counter.
So hold on, let's see if I can. How do you do this again? Okay. Because you go frame by frame. So you see left, you see more conservative. You see, different sides of the spectrum. You have Ethan Klein. And I would say that he's more based nowadays. I think that I think he was actually a really good content creator with his commentary videos at the very beginning. And then he started his podcast, and then I think it didn't help that he moved to Los Angeles. That I don't think that helped whatsoever. Then he went incredibly left. And then just like Jordan Peterson told him, it's like, dude, there's going to be this period test that they're going to give you that you're not going to be able to live up to. And then he had Hassan on his show. And then his chat started to change and started to move and he didn't recognize what was going on. And the thing is, remember, you can't curate your audience. You can't. And you'll have a bad time if you try. Look at Sungrand Studios if you don't know about him. But now he's definitely sounding more reasonable. It doesn't mean that he doesn't get in trouble anymore. Like, he's still done some dumb shit. I mean, I've already done dumb shit on the internet. And I'm new to this content creation thing. I didn't think that I'd grow so quickly. But anyway, I just kind of want to give that an example. I like that he showed King of the Monsters. I liked that he showed Kathleen Kennedy too. That woman has butchered every strong male. She's just butchered characters in general, men and women. Like the men don't make sense and the women don't make sense. That it's hard to aspire to be someone like them if they have no flaws. Like even Luke Skywalker, like he is probably not the biggest guy, like even though he's the main protagonist, but the thing is there's people that balanced him out. Like, and I'm talking original trilogy here. So because even in the single like episodes of the original trilogy, in the first one, what is he? He's a Padawan, right? That's what he was. He was young, he was looking, he was searching for adventure, but he didn't really have his training arc really. And then Empire Strikes Back, he's not full Jedi, but what's in between, kind of like a Jedi Knight, as they would say. And then by the time we get to the third one, he is a master, essentially. He becomes a master when he defeats his father and the Emperor. But you see the internal growth there. Even though it's subtle, we recognize the flaws in his character.
So to them, genuine.
And Sneeko, oh my God, Sneeko. Every once in a while, he has a good point, but a lot of the times he's just... his brain goes into all sorts of directions.
strength is foreign, and they probably even see it as weakness. Unfortunately, it also seems like this is slowly becoming the norm. Before I dive into what this modern depiction of strength is, let's look at what genuine strength has always looked like. Throughout history, we see that strength has often been defined as the capacity to endure, to act with integrity under pressure, and to choose what is right even when it costs you. It is a moral and emotional resilience, not the absence of struggle, but the decision to face it.
I actually run into this myself. You know, kind of something that when you get out of a struggle, you kind of slip and kind of get lazy. Like after I got out of homelessness, like there's this mentality of finally able to rest. And I rested and I rested, I rested, I rested, I rested. I just wasn't doing anything. I was getting lazier in one way, but I was it was a fucking weird thing, man. And I think a lot of strength is endurance, that you have to keep going. You have to take care of yourself. You have to, get out of bed. You have to make your bed. I mean, there's a reason I have Jordan Peterson books. I'm rereading his 12 rules of life again. Recently, I got through the first 2 chapters the other night.
It is also force and power under control. Marcus Aurelius put it this way: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Strength isn't about control over people or circumstances. It's about self-mastery. The ability to stay steady when everything else is shaking. The power to respond instead of react. To remain grounded when your pride wants to escalate. And in a world that tells you to be loud, aggressive, or performative, Marcus flips it. Real strength isn't about bending the world to your will. It's about mastering yourself in the middle of it. This is a fundamental understanding that everyone has
Fucking go for it, King of the Monsters. Go for it.
Had about strength for a very long time. There are so many clear examples of games, series, and movies over the last 20 to 30 years of genuine strength. But it feels like there is a shift happening. Some of our favorite characters in the past, whether real or fictional, those who have had a very deep understanding of what genuine strength looks like, wouldn't necessarily even exist nowadays. And
the thing is, I think that's a good point. Because even though when I was a kid and there was this kind of, I still had masculinity around me, I just didn't have a constant, constant one, or kind of the symbol of strength. What I relied on is a lot of movies. And I think if anyone like grew up in the 90s or so, like, dude, banger after like so many bangers of movies and video games, just like you couldn't lose. Just about like you almost couldn't lose. There's just so much original storytelling at the time. We had all these like digital effects, CGI, everything was looking awesome. And then it's, and maybe I don't want to make this correlation equals causation, right? But then Gamergate happened. Well, hold on, maybe not Gamergate. I want to say around 2008. 2008, I think there seemed to be these rumblings. And then I think Gamergate exploded a little bit. I mean, its own community, I would say. And then we started seeing games just be a little bit more accepting in different ways. Like one of my favorite games is the Mass Effect series. No one gives a shit that there's a gay character in it. I don't give a shit that there's a gay character in it. Hell, one of the characters Liara, who I basically chose every time, she could change her genitals apparently, right? So you got to have your pickings. But it was still very balanced. You knew the characters, they had depth, they had flaws, every single one of them, and you chose your favorites, And then it was just pushing a little bit, And then 2020 happened. Where social justice became acceptable in all forms, and not just in all forms, in a forceful form.
And if they did exist, they would either be gender swapped or race swapped, or even be made to look pathetic where possible. And the characters that
Luke
replace them
Skywalker
or take their throne are so poorly written that it blows my mind how they even exist. Unfortunately,
see, here's the thing that, like, you see people like, especially in game journalism and media journalism, they're like, Well, I'd say more so in game journalism, because they also report on, TV and movie entertainment, is that they do this thing now where they go, "Oh, it's because she's a woman." I'm like, "No." Like, if you guys, follow Yorch Torch on X, I think he's kinda come around a little bit, but I remember when the game Split Fiction came out, and he was just, "This game is woke," and the thing is, like, he listed some things, and technically, if I list off the things that, he was saying, technically, you could easily say, like, "Yes, that definitely looks like a woke game," but I watched the trailers, I watched other people play it, and I'm just like, "No, I think it just, has 2 female lead characters that are writers, and the guy happens to be white because they don't mention it. There's no message that's about you should feel bad for being who you are." You know? There was just a like, in a in an in an outside sense, like, it wasn't about your skin, it wasn't about your gender, it was about something completely different. By the way, don't spoil it for me because I still need to play the game. I still need to make friends to to play it with. So, but the thing is, I understand his mentality because these writers and directors and producers have been putting these minority characters, female characters, and all basically every single kind of character you can have, and made them into like the most unappealing form of a human being you can. They're either way too confident, they're girl bossy, or the man is like the evil guy, or he's a weak guy. Like it's almost like they took these caricatures that we can recognize, right? Like we've seen the douchebag in the movie that with a heart of gold, right? But now it's like he's just the douchebag. It's all he's ever gonna be. It's all he ever will. There's no redeeming qualities about him. He has no point. She-Hulk is the worst example of that. But I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say on that, right?
A lot of modern writers simply don't understand genuine strength. Classical writers like J.R.R. Tolkien knew
Just for you,
what
Laura.
genuine strength was. They knew that strength has a cost, that it takes something out of you. It doesn't leave you untouched, it leaves scars. It humbles you, it makes you even quieter. And that's the irony. The strongest people are usually the ones that don't even talk about how great or strong they are, because they've lived it, they've bled for it, and they know it's not a show. This kind of strength isn't taught, it's shaped over time, in moments of choosing silence, restraint, and endurance. It's taught through exposure. It's always incredible and actually somewhat beautiful to see characters and people who suffer or struggle still choose to do good.
Believe it or not, guys, I prefer Spider-Man 1 over Spider-Man 2 just because of well, actually wait. I love this scene. I love this scene so much. Damn it. No, never mind. Spider-Man 2. I had to think about it.
Good. That's the strength that moves people. That's the strength that transforms people. But this is disappearing. Or worse, it's being replaced by a counterfeit. What is it being replaced by?
You know when you meet someone and they're not a bad person, but they have 100 tiny annoying qualities about them where you don't wanna hang out? Like, it's one of those, "You're not a bad person, but I just don't wanna be around you." "I will never drink water. Water is for the weak." No, seriously, drink your water. Just because I'm drinking Mountain Dew doesn't mean shit, but it's like they're doing it on purpose, just to be fringe, and there was a time for that, and now it's gonna take a long time for fringe to actually have its own quality again. Now it's kinda out the window.
Narcissism. What we're calling strength today is often just narcissism in disguise. It's not rooted in sacrifice or humility. It's about ego, attention, and the desperate need to be admired without being.
Can we just admire that editing? I love that effect, and he's using it so well with the text. Like, look at this.
It's about ego, attention, and the desperate need to be admired without being challenged.
That's
Modern
so fucking
characters,
cool.
and let's be honest, many public figures too, aren't strong because they overcome anything. They're strong because the script says so, or because they say so. They don't earn our respect, they demand it. They don't
earn our respect, they demand it. I think that if you could just put that little quote in a bottle, that describes the last 15 years. Easy.
grow, they're written to be right from the start. They're never wrong, never vulnerable, never in doubt. And if they are, it's used for 5 seconds of forced relatability before they're back to monologue.
Do you guys remember when we watched Captain Marvel? And we're like, Iron Man 2 happened. Like, Marvel's gonna have a dud every once in a while. That's all right. They'll make up for it in future movies. Do you remember when we were so hopeful with glitter in our eyes and sparkles? Where Marvel could just nail it like 90% of the time? I miss those days.
Blogging about how misunderstood they are. This isn't strength, it's self-worship. You see this constantly. Characters who bulldoze through others emotionally, who never listen, who never compromise, and we're told this is empowerment. But being impossible to work with doesn't make you powerful. It just makes you insufferable.
I wonder who that would remind me of. Just thinking about her makes me seethe.
Strength has been reduced to this kind of moral untouchability, a person who can't be questioned, corrected, or critiqued because they are the representation of some broader ideal. But this is dangerous, because it teaches audiences, especially young ones, that personal growth isn't necessary, that virtue is a given, that the world should revolve around you because you're the main character. This obsession with self has hollowed out the archetype of the hero. We used to cheer for really good characters because they gave something up. Now we're just told to cheer because they represent some kind of demographic.
I haven't watched Snow White, but I still want my money back.
The worst part, most of the audience feels the difference. They don't always know how to articulate it, but they know something is off. These new, strong characters feel empty. Their victories don't.
That's one of the reasons why I think the main player that really shined a light on it, because he talks about being articulate, where we just knew something was wrong, and we couldn't really say it very well. And that's where I think the critical drinker came in. And we saw The Last Jedi. And we're like, there's something wrong here. This doesn't make sense. Like, but we can't articulate it. I think that's what the critical drinker just nailed. And that's why everyone resonated with him. Everyone went, oh my God, yes, yes, yes. That's what I feel is what you said. That's why the critical drinker is as successful as he is able to very well articulate what he's feeling, why he's feeling that way, and what this piece of entertainment is doing to make a very human response to whether something's good or bad. And that just feeling that we can't articulate very well. We're just like, that was awesome, or that was bad. Because, saying, no, is this a bad movie? Then you just look like a jackass, right? But when you have someone like the critical drinker or Nerdrotic, for example, that are so articulate in their writing and how they speak, where what they're saying really resonates to how you felt in your experience, like watching a TV show or a movie. Oh, that's why I'll always appreciate those guys. They're fucking awesome.
move us. Their pain doesn't shake us, because deep down, we know strength without selflessness, sacrifice, or love isn't strength at all. It's narcissism. Now, the problem goes deeper than just poor writing. There's now a dangerous trend that if you don't like certain modern characters or even influencers, it's your fault.
Yes, I was just talking about this. But here's the problem. It's kind of like what I was talking about, Your Shorts Gaming and Split Fiction. Even though something is good, like when something's good, like Split Fiction, there is now this audience that they have, that the writers, producers, and directors have all trained now. You just trained your audience that, oh, whenever you see a black woman, whenever you see a female or a minority or a gay person or a trans person or whatever, that you basically trained an audience to go, oh, well, for the last 5 years, you've written this type of character really bad. Therefore, I'm going to assume it's bad. Hollywood basically fucked themselves over by giving into the woke mind virus. I'm sorry, I think that's just how it is. Or the color purple. The binary colors, man. I mean, the thing is, like, the binary colors to me, like, they remember when they're like 80s and cool, and now it's like you have that little sickening in your stomach now whenever you see it. I'm sorry. Sorry, Hollywood. You trained your audience to hate you, and you refuse to listen.
You are the issue. You are sexist, you are racist, you are homophobic, or you are even transphobic. And this shuts down any honest conversation before it even begins.
One of the best advice I ever got was actually from a YouTuber. I wish, man, he'd be such a great person to talk to. His name is Alexander Grace, and you could say that he's in that manosphere red pill area. I think he has his own thing. It's more like dating advice, but especially with the culture we have, it's just kind of hard to avoid, especially as a YouTuber. But he had this really, really great line. He goes, okay, if someone calls you sexist or racist or any of that, just agree with them. You're like, yeah, I'm sexist, but what do you think about this? Because it's like, okay, fine, let's get that out of the way. Because all you're doing is inviting them to have the argument that they already want with you. It's like, okay, fine, I'm sexist. And the thing is, we already see this with you got Hypnotic and he has the bigot army. Like, yeah, fine, I'm a bigot. All right, can we have a conversation now? And guess what? They leave. Okay, fine, I'm a bigot. They're not interested in having a conversation. They're just interested in yelling at you and making you feel demeaned. They're not interested in having honest conversations.
This is a huge part of why things aren't actually getting better, because now identity is being used as a shield. Writers don't have to build strong characters.
Actually, Halo Quail. I actually did want to address this one. I didn't fall for Split Fiction hate because me and my bestie discovered Jose Ferris from Hazelight Games, and yes, this guy was actually a movie film director guy, and he got into games, which is actually really interesting. When he was brand new, and A Way Out was not his first game, by the way. That's what I want to address. His first game, which I love, is called Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, and it's really cool. Maybe after this, we'll actually watch the trailer for it. But essentially, you have your controller, and each side of your controller controls one of the brothers. So you have to like kind of set up your mind to do like two different things at once, sometimes three, depending on what the other character's doing. It's super fun. I highly recommend it. And maybe at some point, I don't have it on Steam, but maybe I'll get it and I'll do a playthrough of it. It only takes like 4 or 5 hours to beat.
They just have to build important ones. Characters who can't be criticized because of what they represent, not who they actually are. It's lazy, and more than that, it's disrespectful, both to the audience and to the very groups these characters are supposed to speak for. Because real representation means giving those characters the same depth, struggle, and growth as anyone else, not making them untouchable, narcissistic brats that demand to be liked.
Damn. Those are the truest, harshest words I think I've ever heard. and I love every second of it.
Can't just hand a character a specific shielded identity and a crazy ego and call it strength. That's not how storytelling works. That's not how respect works. And that's not how truth works. One of the more recent...
Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, flawed character. You could tell that he was avoiding his responsibility that was his birthright to lead the King of Men. He's still a man that wanted to do good, but he also was running away from being the leader that he was, meant to be. We've all seen those amazing people that don't live up to their potential because they get in their own way. He's a great example of that. But then, through the power of friendship and the fellowship, he gains the strength to rise to the occasion.
Examples for this is in the trailer for Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. In a short 4.5-minute trailer, Naughty Dog somehow managed to create an insanely unlikable character who instantly comes across as extremely arrogant and narcissistic. And yet, they genuinely believe this character is above any criticism simply because of her race and identity. As soon as anyone calls her out as a poorly written character, the blame is flipped onto the viewer, labeling the viewer as racist or homophobic. But it has nothing to do with the race or identity of the protagonist. She simply comes across as unlikable. Now, here's where things also get a little bit complicated.
Okay, I'm going to put gender into this a little bit here. I think a little bit of it, because there was a comment that I saw when this came out. It's like, this grown woman is acting like a 12-year-old boy. And I was like, so, but an unrealistic 12-year-old boy, weirdly enough. And I didn't know how to feel about that one, because it was right, but because you could say the same thing about Star-Lord. And, I'm hoping that they make the character make sense. But Neil Druckmann has basically done everything he can to, smash his former amazing reputation into the ground several times over. So, I mean, I'll play it, but I don't really have a lot of hope in it.
I genuinely believe that characters like this are only unlikable to those who have been exposed to genuine strength in their lives. And I can actually see how this sort of character could be likable to those who have not been exposed to genuine strength in their lives. I personally believe that fatherless homes or abusive experiences from individuals that are supposed to represent strength in our lives can create an exposure of counterfeit strength. Obviously, life is nuanced, and I personally know quite a few people who have been exposed throughout their lives to this counterfeit strength that do have a healthy view of strength now. But when you grow up without a model of earned, quiet, or steady strength, you can easily mistake loudness for confidence.
And look at that. Drama Lore 29 has become a somebody. I actually need to get a member. I don't have a let's get some subs like Smash JT does. But how about... Okay, we'll use this as a short one because it's my only meme that I have right now.
Why? Is she retarded? What?
Sorry, that's something that that's something that he reacted to my latest Alana Pierce video when he found out that I literally written and recorded that day because that interview that she did was that same day. It's like, wait a minute. You've been saying that you haven't written on the game this entire time and avoiding it. And, at the very least, you could say that it was speculation on myself, Smash JT, and horrible, harmful opinions. But then she's just like, building the lore of Kratos, like in an interview, like, it's just so dumb. Who doesn't have autism nowadays? I'm sorry. I'm actually a behavior specialist and take care of people with intellectual developmental disabilities. I have to get the humor out somehow.
Control for leadership, and arrogance for self-assurance. And so a character who steamrolls over others, never listens, never bends, and acts like the world owes them.
Do you guys remember? What's her name again?
Steady strength, you can easily mistake loudness for confidence,
Hold on.
control for leadership, and arrogance for self-assurance. And so a character who
Jennifer. Fuck. What's her last name again? I got a sig. Jennifer. Fucking A. Anyway, but this lady. Jennifer Lawrence. Wow, usually I'm a walking IMDb page, and right now, gone. Okay, good. I was right. Do you guys remember when just straight up, like, she was in the Hunger Games and said in an interview, man, it was just very, and I'm not directly quoting from her, but she essentially said this. She went, we just never seen a hero, a female hero in a movie before. And we're just like, where have you been in the last 30 years? Possibly 40? Ripley, Trinity, Joan of Arc? Like, there's a list. You ain't special.
Steamrolls over others, never listens, never bends, and acts like the world owes them something might actually look strong to someone who's only ever seen power used that way. Making characters like this completely alienates audiences, not because we're hateful or closed-minded, but because we're being told to cheer for characters that are poorly written but guilt-wrapped in a protected identity. And if we don't celebrate these characters, we get labeled and called out. But that's not strength. That's trauma with a label on it. And that's the danger. When culture starts celebrating unhealed wounds as empowerment, when fiction becomes a mirror of brokenness rather than a picture of what wholeness could look like, we stop aiming upwards and we start settling. We start calling dysfunction power, not because it is, but because it's all some people have ever known. You can see this play out in real life. Take someone you believe to have narcissistic qualities.
You're talking about Donald Sutherland. Kiefer Sutherland's dad. I don't know about the I don't know about the quote, but hopefully when I go through this later, I'll find it.
Qualities, whether a public figure or someone in your personal life. They could be popular, charismatic, and quick-witted, sure, but what you're really witnessing more often than not is just ego dressed as strength. They rarely or never admit when they're wrong. They often talk over others and position themselves as the smartest in the room without actually doing the harder work of listening, learning, or sacrificing.
Oh man, dude. I was so guilty of this last week. Just was not listening whatsoever. Gotta practice, right?
That's not strength. That's a performance of a false perception of strength. And for a lot of young people, especially those without real mentors, that kind of performance can be convincing. Because if you've never or rarely seen genuine strength in your life, the kind that leads by example, that serves others, that admits failure, that shows genuine humility, then the counterfeit could look strong. C.S. Lewis once said, "We make men without chests and expect them virtue and enterprise. We laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst." In other words, we strip away the soul of real strength, the virtue, the responsibility, the self-mastery. We laugh and mock the real thing when it is displayed, and then we're surprised when the people we elevate as heroes don't act like heroes at all.
Kind of gives me the reminder about Jordan Peterson's tweet to Ethan Klein. At one point, you're not going to be able to pass the purity test that they expect from you. They will not receive you. They will not see you as a flawed individual. They will ask you to be perfect in their own mind's eye. I'm not directly quoting him, but that's essentially what he was saying.
When we confuse narcissism for strength, we don't just warp our stories, we warp our expectations of ourselves and each other. People start performing instead of growing. They protect their image instead of building character. They become addicted to being right instead of learning how to be wise. And the worst part? They start to believe that vulnerability is weakness, that empathy is a flaw, that asking for help is a failure. Real strength doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need a
Pay attention. He said vulnerability, but not victimhood. And I think that people get those confused a lot. Vulnerability is being honest with your feelings towards another human being. Victimhood is complaining about the world around you. At least that's kind of how it seems like nowadays. I mean, there are real victims of something in the world, but victimhood is just like you're covering yourself in it. Victim is where something was wronged. Victimhood is something that you carry around after the fact.
platform. It grows in silence through trial. It's something you become, not something you declare. So the question becomes, what kind of strength are we trying to build in ourselves? And what kind of strength are we celebrating in others? Because if we don't know the difference, we'll keep clapping for the counterfeits while the real thing quietly slips away. So let's come back to the real thing. Real strength is not perfection, it's not dominance, it's not being the loudest person in the room or the most unshakable or unteachable in the spotlight. It's the man who stands alone for what is right, even when it costs him everything. It's the woman who forgives what the world says is unforgivable. It's even the leader who kneels before they command. It's not found in applause, it's found in sacrifice. Look at historical figures such as Nelson Mandela, who grew up under the apartheid, imprisoned for 27 years, and instead of coming out bitter and vengeful, he led a nation towards healing and reconciliation.
Yeah, dude. South Africa's like Martin Luther King, and just like Martin Luther King nowadays, just between Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King Jr., people are just using his name in vain. And it's pretty sickening in my mind.
That's strength. Look at Corrie ten Boom, a woman who lost everything in the Holocaust, including her sister, and yet she chose to forgive the man who was responsible. That is strength. Look at Martin Luther King Jr., who faced death threats, violence, and prison, yet he met hatred with peace and injustice with love. That's strength. And finally, look at Jesus. Whether you believe in him or not, there is no figure in history who better embodies strength through sacrifice. He had power, authority, a following, and yet chose the path of suffering. He didn't destroy his enemies, he forgave them. He didn't demand loyalty, he washed feet. He didn't save himself, he gave himself. And in doing so, redefined strength not as dominance, but as self-giving love. Real strength isn't about appearing invincible, it's about remaining.
Man, I don't know if I want to go to therapy after this, or I just went through therapy with this fucking video. Jesus Christ.
Remaining faithful, honest, and loving even when you feel broken, especially when you feel broken. These people didn't become strong by demanding the world revolve around them. They became strong by laying something down, their comfort, their ego, their vengeance, and their lives, for the sake of something or someone greater. So maybe it's time we relearn what strength actually is. It's not the power to dominate. It's the courage to endure, the humility to grow, the grace to forgive, the wisdom to wait, and the character to keep going, especially when no one is watching. Thank you guys for watching this video, and thank you so much to my Patreons for...
Damn. Man, that's like the video of the year. Yeah, be sure to... Hold on. I'll put his link in the chat. If it will let me. There we go. One more time. There we go. Yeah, give this guy a sub. Just makes amazing content. Like, just so well thought out, well written, well spoken, well filmed, well edited. Like, just the entire package. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Man, I think I do need a cigarette after that. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna lay down and whine in pain. If I die, remember my greatest, and that I'm a VIP. Also, F uterus, F endometriosis. Well, okay then. Uh, Dramatica Laura, Dramatica Laura. Yeah, man. I wish. I think a lot of us wish that we were around people that taught us strength through example, and hopefully a lot of you did. That it becomes instinctual. Okay, going on to the next story. This one's called Pride Month Fell Off, and I'm Glad. Now, this is a creator. Her channel name is Finding Sky. I actually don't know her real name. I'm wondering if it is Sky. Yeah, get some rest, Laura. I mean, I have no idea where you're at, but you know, I did start fairly early in the morning just to try something new. Um, but yeah, she is a lesbian who is made plenty of videos, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. So, okay, wow, she's made a few videos since I last saw her. Yeah, I think this, somewhere around here. The thing is that I was watching her on my IRL channel, which I don't use anymore for the most part. So now I'm on my creator channel. So I've actually had to resubscribe to a lot of people. So when I see them and I don't say that I'm subscribed, I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm on a different channel now. I'm on my creator channel. So then I subscribe to them. Good night, Laura. Teddy says good night. Okay. But yeah, she basically just puts out nothing but bangers. At least and she doesn't post that often either. Oh, it looks like she's been 11 months, then she took Jesus, like almost a 6-month break. And then it was like one video a month. And it looks like that she's like doing a video every 2 weeks or so. I wonder if she's actually going to be like really starting her content creation, because she just makes nothing but great content. Again, articulate people. Yes, Teddy Body is here. But she has a new video. And we're going to see what she thinks. Pride Month fell off. And I think that all of us have been feeling it, or just witnessing it. Companies aren't changing their profile pictures anymore. They're not doing, pride sales for the month of June. It's almost like they're avoiding it like the plague. I think they all got a taste of what happened to Bud Light and in the Dylan Mulvaney situation. And then more stuff started coming out. And the normal people, I think, have basically won. And this is why they're screaming so loudly, why we see these No Kings protests, even though I don't know if we could call them protests if people are getting paid to do it. But this is what's going to happen, guys. When an ideology starts drowning, it's going to do everything it can to try to get above water and breathe. So they're going to fight a little harder, actually way harder right now. It's going to be those individual voices that are going to cause more trouble. But hopefully, because a lot of these protests, more people are getting arrested. So hopefully they'll learn their lesson in the hardest way possible.
Pride Month fell off. In June 2025, companies that once turned their logos into rainbows are now withdrawing their financial support from the upcoming Pride parades. Target no longer has their merch at the front of the store. Instead, they replace it with t-shirts for the 4th of July. It's hilarious because it's both a symbolic and literal representation of putting America first.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? People were tired of the bullshit. People just got tired of the goddamn bullshit. Like, I remember I actually used to be a canvasser in Seattle, and I'd be a minute for gay rights, a minute for gay rights. I was that guy. I really was. Back in 2000, what was it? 2010, 2011, something like that. And I got fired because I couldn't sell enough subscriptions to the ACLU. Yeah. Yeah, that was my job. And I remember being like prideful because I was like, hey, I'm on the right side of history. And the thing is, I feel like I still was. But I think a lot of people didn't really expect what happened. Because one thing about when you start a nonprofit or charities like the Trevor Project and a bunch of other things, kind of weird if you don't have anything to fight for anymore. People lose their jobs and people lose their money. People lose their funding. Businesses lose their funding. So they have to go to the next thing. And sometimes the next thing is, something worthwhile. And in this case, they decided to go full on evil.
Where there was once rainbows and pride slogans, there's now American flags. This shift was pretty predictable. I've made several videos over the years about how identity politics and pride parades were damaging the public perception of the LGBT community. And with recent stats showing that people's support for gay marriage has dropped considerably, it's not hard to see why.
Wow, being fired for not virtue signaling hard enough. Pretty much, yeah. Oh, God, you just nailed what that job is. Just like to the T. I didn't virtue signal hard enough. In Seattle, Washington. I was not a good salesman. God damn it, Hippo. I feel exposed.
Why? When a culture is created around the idea that you shouldn't care what other people think of you, it sounds really good in theory. Just be yourself, live your life, don't worry about anyone else's opinions. But when you take this ideology to an extreme, you end up with people naked on the street.
See, I remember Asmongold was talking about this, is that no one really knows what to do because the Western world there used to be kind of a decent understanding, but now that we have so many subcultures in the West, especially in the United States, no one knows what to do. No one knows whether they're stepping on eggshells. No one knows, no one knows what dating is anymore. And there used to be this time, like, I remember, like, I was a theater kid. So, like, you always felt like the outsider, right? Like, people would go to the football games. They wouldn't come to, our spring musical, right? But I'm kind of glad that it stayed in that little section now that I think about it. Because I think it's theater people that kind of caused all this. No, no offense to my theater bros and gals, but theater people fucking are the worst or became the worst. I swear. You're getting sick of getting tired of YouTube autocorrecting things after you already clicked the send button. I don't ever have that problem. Like I've heard people having that problem. I never have that problem. We have women in workout attire coming to the hardware store to pick up guys. Hey, shop for what you're yearning for, right? Almost literally. But the thing is, like, in regards to dating, like, men really don't know what the rules are. Fuck, like, I've been single for 10 years. Like, what am I gonna do? If I no, oh, dude, hold on. You guys wanna know, like, the moment I realized that I'm probably just gonna be single for a long ass time? So, I was in Eugene, Oregon, and I was at a bar. And I went up to a girl, and the thing is, I'm not the kind of guy that goes up and says like, "Hey, can I buy you a drink?" I'm not. But she seemed friendly. I wasn't necessarily getting any hints or anything like that, but I was like, "You know what? She's cute. I'm going to give it a try." And I go over to her. I go, "Hey, can I buy you a drink? What would you like?" And she's like, "Yes, absolutely. I'll take a drink." And so I buy her a drink. She grabs the drink, walks away. And I'm like, don't you want to talk?" She goes, "I don't owe you anything. Thank you for the drink." And just walked over to her friends. I was like, "Oh, so this is how it is now. Great. Great." So if that's going to be the case, why would men even try?
It's this exact disregard for the public opinion that damaged our reputation. While many in this community hold the position that we shouldn't care whether or not our actions are deemed acceptable by the public, I hold the opposite position. I say we have a responsibility to show the public that we want to act equally, be treated equally, and don't expect any special treatment.
That's what it used to be. Gay people who want a gay marriage, just like, "Hey, we are just like you." And thing is, like, at the time, the pride parades, yeah, were they a little risque? Yeah, they were. And that's always been some sort of form of protest in one way or another. But and it used to like be scandally clad, all that jazz. But now it's just full on nudity. It's like it's one thing. It's like, hey, celebration of sexuality. Now it's just like, no, you guys just want to have sex in the streets now. Like that's what it turned into. Literally. Like, do you guys see the video of like uh the guys in the I can't say too much on YouTube, but the the guys that were in the kiddie pool in the middle of the street, and I believe it was in like Seattle, and the police, it's like, "Well, we could do something, but it's technically fenced off and they have a permit." And they fucking knew. They knew that they could arrest those motherfuckers. They knew. Oh god. To this day, it's gross. I think I have a post on it
LGBT movement
on X.
started out as simple as wanting everyone to mind their own business about what was happening in our bedrooms. And
Yep.
yet now everyone's yelling from rooftops, "Look at what I do in my bedroom." You lost the plot, and we lost the public when LGBT became more associated with degeneracy than it did with equality. Pride parades have unfortunately become associated with hypersexualization and ideological agendas, even though this was not the original.
Katzen, you don't want to see it. It's the grossest thing I've ever seen. There's a reason why there was a kiddie pool. Yeah. Let's just say there were some showers that were a little golden, to say the least.
Intention of these events. It was supposed to be a celebration of our freedoms, not a public display of fetish. But unfortunately, it got co-opted by a bunch of people who we can all agree were acting inappropriately. I understand that a majority of Pride attendees aren't partaking in this behavior, but the majority of media.
See, this is just what happens. It's not about gay or trans or anything like that. It's just like gross people exist on all spectrums. But when you're gross, especially if you're a minority group, that means if you're a minority group, that means you're easier to identify in that group. And you make the entire group look just as responsible as you, especially if it grows within like 4 or 5 years.
media does not have this same understanding. Allowing this type of behavior at these events is damaging to the image of the entire community, even if it is only showing the extreme minority. Which is why I almost feel relieved to finally see Pride Month falling off. Most of us don't want to be the center of attention and have been anxiously waiting for the day when the alphabet soup discourse would become old news. An unnecessary amount of attention has been drawn to this community, making the problems within it that much worse. It should not be a controversial take to say that your gender identity and sexuality should not be the sole dictators of your belief system.
Oh man, that reminds me. I remember I have a family member. I won't say who, but they were a step person, so kind of someone outside the family a little bit. Uh, their daughter had a gay marriage when I was young, and I remember my stepdad and my mom telling me like, "So you're gonna be going to this wedding?" They were like really Christian. They're they would go to church. They were there all day because they're part of the worship team, the band, and they're like, "So this happens between people," and this is before gay marriage was legal, so it was more like a ceremony. And I just remember being like, "So there's gonna be cake, right?" Like I just didn't give a shit. I was like 8 years old. I didn't know what was going on.
You can be a gay conservative. You can be a straight tomboy. There's unlimited variation in the human condition, and anyone trying to convince you otherwise has an agenda. The constant pushing of people to adopt the stereotypical beliefs of what it means to be straight or gay is what's truly regressive. Don't let them gaslight you into thinking that their way is the only way. My comment section loves to call me a pick-me, but the truth is that this community needs people like me pushing back against the mainstream LGBT narrative, because people will respect us so much more when we're seen as singular.
See how she's calling out the LGBT and not associating with it, but also being a lesbian? Because, like, I remember when there used to be something throughout colleges called um, the Gay Straight Alliance. We even partnered with them when we were doing the musical Rent, which is a great musical. But man, she's absolutely right. The LGBT lost the plot. And now when anyone sees a rainbow flag or anyone hears anything that says LGBT, they just want to step away from it if they're a reasonable human being. And it makes like, lesbians like her, like I remember there's this trans individual I used to work with who hates the LGBT, and like she was like, these people just are the worst and they ruin the cause. She's like, I have a problem and I am essentially giving in to my mental disease. Because, she just felt like she didn't have a choice. It's like I'm not celebrating it, right? But oh God, people just want to live their lives. And then you have these activists that are ruining the lives that they're trying to save.
Individuals as opposed to a homogenous group. Not all gay people want queer ideology taught in elementary schools. Not all trans people believe that you should lose your job because you use the wrong pronouns. It's the most extreme of us that get the majority of the publicity and attention, but it is absolutely not representative of the majority. Many US corporations this year stopped supporting pride events that celebrate LGBTQ plus culture and rights, raising questions about corporate America's commitment to the cause. The moves come as President Donald Trump has attempted to roll back some LGBTQ plus friendly federal policies. This article goes on to yap about how it's all Trump's fault, but it doesn't address the real culprit of the declining support. It's important to decentralize Trump from the conversation because it's not Trump, it's the people that voted for him for reasons just like this. There's a cultural narrative around the extreme progression of the LGBT movement that drove a majority of American voters to choose Trump in the first place. You're not getting a pushback from the Trump administration, you're getting a pushback from the majority of the population.
Remember when a majority of the population, and remember, I was one of them, and technically in a way, I still am, but with the original mentality, which was, hey, let's have equality. I know it's a little odd, but it's equality. They're just normal people. And then the crazies came in. Like, I remember there's this creator named Amir. Yeah, he's like a gay black dude. He's best friends with Brett Cooper. And he kinda he hit the nail on the head. He was like, "Remember, like, after gay marriage was legalized, it's like, there was, like, 5 years when everyone was just chill?" Like, no one gave a shit. Yeah. But these nonprofits, man, they need to make their money somehow, and they always need to have a cause.
Companies are resourceful. They are clever at identifying trends and studying their environment and their customers' needs. But those needs change and corporations adjust. Yeah, this is just a professional way of saying that companies will do whatever it takes to make more money in the moment. I made a whole video about this exact subject. When you try to force your beliefs onto someone and gaslight them that any other way of thinking is immoral and dangerous, you don't change their honest beliefs. You don't give them a cause to fight for. All you're giving them is an incentive to lie. You're giving
Dude, honestly, I feel like that a lot of, like, disenfranchised Democrats, because you can call me one. I keep saying this, I need to go to the post office and change to an independent. But because of the empathy, you know, uh, that I had, and I think a lot of people had, they're like, "Oh, well, yeah, of course. Of course. And, of course it's hey, gotta push the boundaries." Again, theater people like to push the boundaries. Like, yeah, of course. Let's push the boundaries here. Let's see what we can get done. And then children came into the mix, and then I went, nope. Nope, nope, nope. There is a line here, and it is being crossed. I'm taking a step back. I'm gonna look into some shit. And I looked into some shit, and I was like, no. This is what? This has been going on? You'd be surprised. If there's someone that you should probably look up, guys, Erin Friday. Watch any interview with her, you won't regret it. My alarm is ringing. Anyway,
giving them a
1 second,
bandwagon
guys.
to jump on, a trend to follow. So as soon as the mainstream narrative changes, as soon as the trend switches, all of it crumbles. You think you've made a change, but you've only proven how easy you are to fool. A growing slice of the public has grown tired of companies taking a stance on social and political issues. So-called brand activism reached its peak between 2016 and 2022, a period of social upheaval around the pandemic, police brutality, and transgender rights. But research has since found a growing number of American consumers don't want companies taking positions on such topics. Yeah, no shit. People want to be able to sip a beer without Dylan Mulvaney's goofy face on it.
Oh, man. I've never seen a boycott that went so hard in a long time. Before the Bud Light boycott, can you guys think about any bigger boycott that you've ever witnessed? I mean, I know Target had one, but I don't think that was anywhere close. Like, they lost money. They lost a lot of money, but I don't think it came anywhere close to the Budweiser situation, man.
There have always been people who said, I don't want my toothpaste to have an opinion, I just want to use my toothpaste. But the tide has shifted, and research shows there are more people that feel this way now. Did you really need research to figure that out? People are tired of everything.
It's not like they looked at the last few years and were like, "Huh, people don't like this. This is kind of getting a little crazy." I don't know what is up with these companies where they just couldn't use some common sense. But then again, look at our entertainment industry in the last 10 years and how it's just been slowly perpetuating into craziness.
Everything being over politicized. We want to sip on our favorite soda without it being a political statement. Rick Gomez, Target's chief commercial officer, told reporters that it's important to celebrate heritage months. They drive sales growth for us. Do you really think these companies ever gave a solitary fuck? Of course not. These corporations will go wherever the money is. They have no desire to be involved in controversy or get caught holding an unpopular opinion in fear of alienating their customers. There was a viral post made on X responding to the graph that shows acceptance of same-sex marriage has declined significantly. It took us 9 years to go from we just want to get married to we will steal your children from you and mutilate them if they claim to be transgender. No one can argue that gay marriage didn't pave the way for this. One of my greatest regrets in life is supporting this abomination when I was libertarian in my 20s. This entire thing should be outlawed everywhere.
This right here. Yes. I said this in another live stream, and I know it's worse in other states, but here in Oregon, if you are 15 years old, you can have medical and surgical gender care at the age of 15, and you don't need parental consent. So literally, a 15-year-old could get those chopped off without any parental consent, backed by the Oregon state government.
This post is both nonsensical and incredibly disappointing, but with almost 30,000 likes, it reveals the reality of how many people view LGBT issues. People do not appreciate how quickly and forcefully queer ideology has escalated. We went from gay marriage to threatening people's jobs that were being misgendered in the span of just a few years. People were
King of the Monsters saying they were never allowed to not get married. That's whole BS. It was legal through in the courts and state. Are you... Well, the thing is, I know that California did legalize it to a certain extent, but then there was a thing called Proposition H that was led by a lot of Mormons that kind of stopped it. It, see, I think King of the Monsters, I don't know what angle you're at, but yeah, that depends on where you were at, but the thing is, a lot of that was state, not federal. Okay. Well, I think the thing is, you can get to the nitty gritty, but she's trying to make an overall point for the general audience, because as much as like or I know, I think it's yeah. See, in California, you would know more than I would. I just watched a documentary called Prop 8, 15 years ago, and that's all I know about it. But here in Oregon, like it was just against the law, and people just had ceremonies. Like there really wasn't a bunch of hubbub about it.
were fine with allowing others to do their thing as long as it didn't affect them, but now it does. I recognize that most straight people, most Republicans even, don't hold this position. Most people still support gay marriage. Most people don't have an issue with the LGBT, but with the continuous escalation of the rest of the alphabet. Still, several people responded to this post, reinforcing the idea that gay marriage opened the doors for more extreme ideology.
Yeah, like Two-Spirit. And by the way, I forget who it was, but you want to know where Two-Spirit came from? It was from like this Native American person who said that she dreamed it. That's where it came from, to the best of my knowledge. I think it was Michael Knowles or Charlie Kirk that said that, but they're pretty reliable sources, and they were very well learned and educated people on the things that they debate. So I'm unless the chat wants to disagree with me here and want to correct me.
Someone sensible responded to this by saying, or you could ban kids' transgender surgeries and have gay marriage at the same time, to which the OP replied, nope, we tried that and I'm no longer interested in half measures. To the guy who said this, and for the other 14% of Republicans who no longer support gay marriage, I understand what's led you here. But just like you don't want to be categorized and stereotyped, neither do we. Not all gay people want to see kids at drag shows. Not all trans people believe that minors should be able to undergo surgical transition. These common stereotypes are often...
It's not about left, it's not about right, it's what's reasonable. What's reasonable? That's all we're asking for, people. Is just what's reasonable. Oh, God. I feel like reason has just gone off. What do you mean? This isn't... What? What are you talking about, War Maniac? King of the Monsters coming in
Awesome
with a
stream
dollar.
and great discussion today, woo. Call me handy emoji.
Yeah, I know that, like, Smash JT, like, gets into this kind of stuff every once in a while, but, like, a lot of people call me, like, a Gamergate guy or an anti-woke guy, but I kind of want to just have these discussions just because it's something that I'm interested in, and plus I think I have a very reasonable chat. And even though I kind of started out because I don't know like as much as you guys think I do, I don't know a lot about Gamergate. Well, I mean I've gotten the crash course now, obviously, ever since I've been pushed into the you know being named in the lawsuit and everything. But I didn't know who Paul Tassi was till literally like 2 or 3 days ago. Oh yeah. Uh I do have that video um uh with what's his name? Nate something. But but if people are burnt out on that, there are other things that we can talk about that I already have planned. So that's just a just in case kind of deal. So don't worry, War Maniac. If we can avoid it, we will.
Misrepresentations of the majority opinion. I'm sure you understand this concept as you've had your own share of controversies that people continuously bring up as if it represents the majority of the group. Don't let the extremists ruin the freedom of everybody else in this community.
I miss tomboys. Man, I remember a tomboy that lived on my street when I was a kid. Her name was Sarah. Total like Avril Lavigne looking type. Baggy pants, super cute, a little just kind of off the beat. Oh yeah, I had my little crushes. You know. Don't look at me that way, guys. Don't look at me that way. Anyway, Finding Sky, great fucking YouTuber, and War Maniac. Like, I know it's probably not your thing, but I try to focus on individuals. We were actually talking about, oh, actually, War Maniac, a really good video for you to watch later would be this guy. I highly recommend all of his stuff. What the hell? There we go. Highly recommend Pata. Talked about masculinity and strength in entertainment. Incredibly articulate, just overall great YouTuber, great creator. And then we'll get Finding Sky. Be sure to subscribe to her. Fucking deserves it. But no. The thing is, I wanted the Pata plays. I wanted to react to this video. I watched a few minutes of Tectone reacting to it, and I was like, I didn't know Pata was still making content, so I stopped it. I wanted to do as much a blind reaction as I could. And here's Finding. Oh, her name is Skylar. Finding Skylar. Huh? Who would have thought? So
We're at the restaurant. We're both starving,
damn, her girlfriend's cute.
but we're waiting on her.
With my foundation. I'm almost done. Just 20 more steps.
Oh, you're so pretty.
Square up.
See? You can be a tomboy and still be a girl. Like that masculine friend, like, hey, ducks. Hey, geese. What's up? And then they're like, geese is like, all right, bet, let's go. And then runs away. And it was cute. Nothing wrong being cute. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is more creator stuff that concerns, I think, a lot of people. And you guys might already know about MatPat. MatPat is the founder of the game theorists, style theory, food theory, and film theory. So he built his little empire and he retired. I think he still does the game theorist streams every once in a while, but overall, he's retired. Great creator. Yeah. And he decided to get into politics. And a lot of people are saying a lot of clickbaity titles of, is MatPat running for president? No, he created something called the Creator Caucus. Now, this might be a little boring, but I think it's very interesting because some of you might not know, but I actually made a video on Section 230, and this actually might be a better idea than messing with Section 230.
Okay, it's me, Beth. Perfect. Who else is joining us?
Patrick and
You can applaud now. Thank you. I also want to thank all the creators who have decided to be here today. We welcome you and look forward to...
By the way, just I miss MatPat. Next up, I hate MatPat. Well, love or hate him or miss him, I think I at least respect him. Yeah, I know.
working with you. This endeavor is a new effort to bring fresh perspectives of creation.
Now, I've only heard MatPat's speech, but I wanted to bring this up because I didn't hear the actual congresswomen. Because I can just tell from her tone, and I bet you it's going to come from her as well. Apparently, it's a bipartisan caucus, which is something that, ideally you want. But usually they sound a little out of touch, at least in the way they speak. They sound way too political. When, MatPat, he's a trained YouTuber, and he's also a trained actor as well. So I wanted to know what these motherfuckers would say.
Creators into the public policy conversation. The creator economy is now a vibrant ecosystem of online digital content, rhythmic transparency, monetization, and payment transparency.
What the fuck was that?
To meet the moment, their views and challenges must be heard by Congress in a meaningful and actionable way. After the proposed TikTok ban looked like it would become reality, my colleagues and I heard the story after story from creators who reached out in fear.
This is a real congresswoman's YouTube page. And no one thought to at least edit something out. MatPat, you're right there. You could have helped her out.
In fear that...
Lower the volume? Yeah, I can lower the volume. Let me know if this is good.
That their livelihoods would be taken away from them. We were behind to ensure that their voices are heard.
Okay, I came here just to, see what these congresswomen had to say. Now I'm just going to roast them. Learn how to edit. You can use iMovie. Hell, you can use your iPhone. I don't know who edited. I'm just confused. Yeah.
In the policy process. Various platforms, such as YouTube, are providing creators and viewers ecosystems of ways to reach millions on a global scale, allowing creators to build capital, paying more than $70 billion to our creators, $70 billion to creators and media companies in just the past 3 years.
You know what I don't like? Is that it just sounds like she learned about this like a month ago. Wait a minute. Is that Pokemon in the back? Hold on.
Creators, $70 billion.
Wait. Hold on. Is that Pokemon? I think, wow, I think you called it. I think that's Pokemon. It's kind of hard to tell with this video, but I recognize the hair especially.
Creators who have decided to TikTok ban look like it would, that their livelihoods would be taken away from them. We were behind to ensure that their voice
Oh my God, the
allowing
editing.
creators
The
to
editing.
build capital.
Oh my God.
Paying
It's a still camera. It should not be that hard. You are a congressman that has spent billions upon trillions of our dollars, and you can't cut a video? Jesus Christ.
more than $70
What?
billion to our creators, $70 billion to creators and media companies in just the past 3 years. Congress, as I've said,
Wait,
is
I think you're
behind
right. I think Pokemon is shorter, but then again, this girl's wearing high heels.
behind the curve, and we have to stay abreast of industry trends and how creators use online platforms to make money in order to ensure guardrails are in place to protect creators and the exponential growth of this industry.
I have a question, guys. Just from this woman talking, this congresswoman, do you have any hope that actually any real shit for creators and viewers are going to get done? Because this kind of sounds like when you explain how email works to your grandma for the first time. And they're just so proud that they learned how to send an email. I'm sorry. I'm going to suffer through it.
Again, I am excited to bring the Creators Caucus to the Hill, and I look forward to working with my colleague, Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne, in meeting the moment. My position on Energy and Commerce Committee, Rep. Beth Van Dyne.
Just look at MatPat right here. I think a lot of these guys made a really good decision wearing sunglasses. Don't I know it? But he looks kind of confused. Yeah, right. Where's Hassan Piker?
Dyne's role on the Small Business Committee is a great union to lead this caucus and address creators' issues. From data privacy to accessing capital to engaging with the SBA, we have an opportunity here to meet the greatest challenges creators face, and our service on committees built upon bipartisanship aligns us perfectly to meet this critical moment.
So, God, I still think that's Pokemon. So, I mean, it looks like that she's addressing something that a lot of creators. So, it's kind of difficult to move to another country and call yourself a creator, because if you're a creator, you are an independent you're not even an independent contractor to YouTube. Like, it's more so of like a weird YouTube explains it better, obviously, but it's like a weird royalty deal that's also not affiliate marketing. It's super weird. It's hard to describe what the job is. Like if you're moving to another country or another state or filling out mortgage or loans. It's very confusing for people that don't know the space whatsoever. Like everyone's heard of a YouTuber, but they also are like, oh, how do you get paid? Well, in a lot of different ways. Is it consistent? Oh, well, no. There's a lot of creators that have a hard time navigating through certain weird systematic things, like between our bank laws and even just moving, especially if you're a small creator.
So let me thank you, and it's my honor and privilege now to turn it over to Representative Beth Van Dyne.
Yep, Pokemon. Thank you, Hippo.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Beth Van Dyne. I represent the great Congressional District 24 in Texas. In addition to being on small business, I'm also on the Ways and Means Committee, and I also chair the former Mayor's Caucus, which, when we talk about bipartisan things, it's an awesome committee, an awesome caucus to be a part of. And I want to thank all of you for being here today to help us officially kick off the Creators Caucus. I am thrilled to be joined by
How come she sounds like she's reporting the weather? Let's just rewind it back a little bit. Tell me I'm wrong.
For being here today to help us officially kick off the Creators Caucus. I am thrilled.
Is that Atreus on the left? Well, it's certainly not. It's certainly not Kata. Kata ain't that tall.
To be joined by my co-chair, Representative Clark, in this moment of bipartisan agreement. Proof that if there's one thing that can bring both sides of the aisle that we can appreciate is just funny cat videos. But let's talk about this fast-growing, this always evolving digital creator marketplace. It's home to everything from adorable animal fails to DIY plumbing advice that actually works most of the time. It's fun, it's chaotic, and yes, it's also serious business. Today, there are more than 70 million content creators making money online. And that means that nearly every single congressional district has people who are out there that are turning their creativity into paychecks. And whether they're making makeup tutorial masters or citizen journalists or that guy who reviews fast food in his car, they're small business owners.
That is true. If you're a YouTuber that yeah, even if you're just making any money, like my last video, I'll just tell you, like my last Alyssa Mercante video made 26 whole cents so far. 500 views, 26 cents. Hell yeah. And I don't even think I think that's just my CPM, not my RPM. Remember that YouTube takes 45% of that, and then any donation that's made through YouTube, YouTube takes 30% of that, and that's also not including taxes. That's why you're hearing a lot of content creators when they're like, "Oh, no tax on tips." Holy shit, wouldn't that save my business a ton? Because you can consider a donation a tip, and even if you look at Streamlabs, they call it tips even in their dashboard. So but then it's like, oh wait, it's not a tip. You're only talking about waitresses and cashiers. I mean, nothing wrong with having those jobs. I mean, we've all had those jobs, and many YouTubers that are content creators that make money on YouTube also have those jobs. But also, it's like, wait a minute. This kind of seems like you're singling a lot of people out here. So I'm wondering if that's something that's ever going to be addressed.
Are job creators and they are community builders. These folks aren't just changing how we consume content, but
well, see, that's why like Alyssa Mercante's lawsuit is so ridiculous. Like, suing Smash for $75,000 because it's not word for word here, but it seems to imply this. It's like they kind of estimate that's how much money he's made just off of making videos on her. It's like, oh no, he has not made anywhere close to that with just Alyssa Mercante's videos. No, like just looking at my analytics, no way would it amount to $75,000. I think he's made, and I'm not including live streams here. I think a little over 100 videos, and some of those he's privated now for reasons. But it's like, where did you come up with that number? How would you know? She's monetized on YouTube. She knows that, like, what her not her latest video, but the video before that, the being used for hate clicks or something like that, for views. She knows how much like a 30,000 video makes. And the thing is, it all depends on what kind of ads you get. Like, that's why financial YouTube channels, they get like, holy shit, they get some, man, what's the last number I saw? So, like, if you look at Graham Stephan's channel, on the low end, $15 per 1,000 views, all the way up to, I've seen, it depends on the year, obviously, but I've seen like up to $32 per 1,000 views. which is insane. But that's just where a lot of money is. That's where a lot of ads are directed towards.
They're changing how we think about work, entrepreneurship, and even fame. I mean, who knew that tossing a water bottle with perfect aim could turn into a brand worth millions? But with all this innovation comes challenges, from ever-changing regulations and confusing tax rules to trying to figure out how to turn a viral video into a sustainable business. That's where the Creators Caucus comes in. We want to understand what these modern small businesses need and how Congress can help them grow, succeed, and keep doing what they do best.
That's actually a very interesting point. I was a very big fan of Andrew Yang when he was talking about universal income. Things I wasn't all the way in on universal basic income, but I would much rather have a value-added tax than an income tax. It honestly, it made a lot more sense to me.
And that is creating awesome stuff.
And if you guys don't know what that is, what I would do is type up Joe Rogan's interview with Andrew Yang. It's a really good interview, really good podcast episode.
So now let me brag on one of our hometown success stories, Dude Perfect. Anybody out there hear of Dude Perfect? If you don't know...
Have you guys heard of Mr. Beast? And I'll get that. I'll give her that. She's like the mom that's trying to show all the friends of her kids that she's the cool mom.
Know them, you should, and I definitely tell you your kids do. But imagine 5 college buddies with a camera, a basketball, and way too much time on their hands.
It's absolutely
They turn
true.
trick shots in their backyard into an internet empire. Today, they've got over 61 million subscribers. 61 million subscribers. They sell out NBA arenas with family-friendly live videos and shows, and they just opened an 80,000 square foot headquarters in Frisco, Texas. Oh, and they're also planning a theme park. I mean, a theme park, y'all. I cannot even get my printer to work, and these guys are building the Disney World of trick shots.
Yeah, I don't know how. That's the one thing that's like the one creator thing. I'm like, how do you make a theme park out of Dude Perfect? Because remember, as much as their trick shots were a major part of their brand early on, now they're a combination of personality and trick shots. So their personality, I think, is what is really strong, is the strongest part of their brand right now, because they do more than trick shots now. And if you are going to build like a Walt Disney of creatorship, you have to really understand what you're doing, because one day, guess what? And this is one of the reasons why MatPat, I think, was really, really smart when he retired, is that he wanted to make the channels more about the channels and not about him as a YouTuber. That was more about the content than the YouTuber themselves. I mean, the personality is always going to be a major factor, but I think that he's very formulaic in the way that he looks at YouTube. So the way that he has set it up is so that let's just say one of the hosts decides to retire or move on to maybe having a personal channel that, that has grown, and they want to make their own business, that someone else is able to slide in. So, but with Dude Perfect, because they're so massive, because it's so personality based, I don't know if they can just have someone, come in and fill a slot. Like, not everyone is like, who's going to replace Mr. Beast? Mr. Beast dies tomorrow. What's going to happen? Who's going to fill that role? This isn't Apple, it's a YouTube channel.
So,
like, I honestly don't see that happening. I don't see a Mr. Beast slide-in happening anytime soon.
So what's amazing is that their story isn't about fame and fortune. It's about faith and friendship and building something meaningful. They've created jobs, they've inspired millions, and they've shown what happens when creativity meets opportunity. And that's what the heart of the Creators Caucus is. We are here for the big names and the niche stars. For the backyard inventors, the kitchen table podcasters, and the teachers who explain quantum physics using sock puppets. Whatever your content, we want to help you to create your dreams, make them big, navigate the hurdles, and share your voice with the world. I want to thank you all again for being here today. The Creators Caucus is about making sure the people that are driving this new economy, whether they're filming in high-tech studios or just propping their phones up against a stack of books, that they have the support that they need.
I don't want to be as big as Mr.
Our
Beast.
job is to make the path a little smoother, the rules a little clearer, and the opportunities that much bigger.
Hold on. Actually, I like what she just said at the very end of that.
This is about making sure the people that are driving this new economy, whether they're filming in high-tech studios or just propping their phones up against a stack of books, that they have the support that they need to succeed. Our job is to make the path a little smoother, the rules a little clearer.
The rules a little clearer. Hey, YouTube. Would you mind making the rules a little more clearer instead of the vague TOS that you have now? Thank you. Smash JT and a lot of other creators would like to know what the rules actually are.
And the opportunities that much bigger. So because whether or not you're reaching an audience of 50 or 50 million, we're not just supporting content. We are backing creativity, small business, and a future where anyone with a good idea and a Wi-Fi signal has a real shot at success. And I want to thank my co-chair, Yvette Clark, and invite her back up to the podium.
Very well. Thank you.
That's not a bad point. I don't know what you mean by this.
Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne of Texas. It's now my honor and my privilege to bring to the fore Matthew and Stephanie Patrick. And they're going to share with you sort of their lens to what we're doing today in establishing this caucus. So,
hey, Hypnotic and Rapture, how
Stephanie
you doing, man?
and Matthew.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Stephanie's talking.
We're Stephanie. Good afternoon. And thank you both so much for being here. We're Stephanie and Matthew Patrick. We've been creators and business owners online for the last 14 years, and we've built one of the most successful and largest digital production companies in the creator economy. We're very proud of it. Additionally, over the last decade, we've served as advisors to hundreds of creators, as well as some of the world's biggest media companies all over the place. Through our work.
And by the way, guys, like MatPat, like these two are a duo. Like you guys have seen MatPat more than his wife Stephanie, but like between these two, like these guys know their YouTube shit, like hardcore. So if you have any respect for Matthew, Stephanie deserves a ton of respect. Like one of the best interviews that really opened my eyes to this. If you see the Colin and Samir interview with MatPat and Stephanie, holy shit. I mean, there's only one thing I disagreed with her on, but other than that, and it was a small thing. I'm like, all right, I can see your point, but it was only a slight disagreement.
We've witnessed the incredible impact and the incredible diversity of what it means to be a creator. You've heard all of this a bit already, but it encompasses everything from literally you sharing family photos on Instagram to small mom and pop businesses who use TikTok Shop to promote their products. It also includes some of the largest production companies in the world, like Mr. Beast Studios from our home state of North Carolina. He just hit 400 million subscribers on YouTube and is valued as a company of over $1 billion. Some of these companies employ hundreds of people, and to the point some employ 0, 1, 5. It's just an incredible range. This is the diversity of what it means to be a creator at every level. The creator economy is a force that is growing and cannot be ignored, and we're so excited that it has a place here today. At its core, a creator is a small business, just like
it absolutely is. And if I make enough money on YouTube, I'm starting an LLC. I need to get those tax benefits, baby.
Like we've said, growing through the power of online video, there are now thousands from every conceivable background, from every state in the US, all building brands and companies. Social video platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you name it, all of them, they provide opportunities to create millions of jobs. And not just in arts and entertainment. We're talking jobs in data analytics, programming, marketing, sales, engineers, design, the list goes on. These platforms and the business owners working on them very hard, tirelessly, all the time, are also providing greater representation, freedom of expression, and education for viewers in every state and jurisdiction, as well as around the world.
Quick question, guys. I want to give a good example because there are a ton of creators that are small that just really haven't had their like big break or chance. Have you guys ever heard of a YouTube channel called Law and Lumber? Now, he's not a small YouTube channel, but because of his exposure, because of his experience, his first video, I think on its first day, cracked over 100,000 views and just kept growing. We're going to watch that, and I'll give you a little bit of history behind it before we watch it, okay?
Right now, we all know the major headline-grabbing topics, right? Everything from online privacy, responsible use of AI, addictive algorithms, protection of children on the internet, the list goes on and on. Creators are some of the first people, the first businesses to actually have to confront these issues head first on a daily basis. And it's our hope through this Creator Caucus and through the conversations that it's going to inspire that we can help educate legislators on these fast-moving, ever-evolving issues so that legislation is timely and relevant. On the other hand, some of the issues that we're going to be speaking about aren't making the most exciting of headlines, but are equally important and critical to the survival of this budding ecosystem. Things like clarification of tax codes for a new category of entrepreneur and access to small business support and resources. Every congressional district has itself a creator-led business.
Whoa.
And there are more and more appearing each and every day. This isn't just an East Coast, West Coast issue or a middle...
Hey, guys, hold on. Oh, okay. Clickbait. All right. Looks like there is a little bit of breaking news. We'll get to that. But it was a little bit of clickbait. I had to go through the comments, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it. We'll still do the Law and Lumber thing next because you guys will be very surprised.
America industry. This is an everyone industry. Many of the issues that are facing the creator economy are also increasingly impacting small businesses.
You see how Matt, he's like hitting the thing. He doesn't realize he's probably used to just better mics and everything. So every time he hits the podium, it's making the noise. And I bet you anything he's hearing this back and being like, shit, next time I'm not going to do that.
And civilians at large. More and more, all companies are relying on these digital platforms to get their messages out and to grow their customer bases or to improve their growth potential. So in our mind, this is just as much a creator economy caucus as it is a future economy caucus. And so it is our great honor and our great privilege to be working with Representatives Clark and Van Dyne for recognizing the value of this space and for including us and other creators in these very important discussions moving forward. Thank you. And back to you, Representative Clark.
Okay, we're going to stop it right there. I think MatPat was actually the most passionate about it, and the other two were kind of a little bit robotic. They sound like politicians. But remember, Matt's been doing this for years. But we're going to skip to Law and Lumber real quick. Now, I'm going to let you know his very first video. So I was there. He had over 10,000 people in his first live stream. Now, he was a lawyer that lived in, I believe, Virginia or West Virginia, and this was during the Amber Heard trial. Hold on, guys. Let me bring you up. Yes, I believe that Trump should fix Section 230, but I'd rather not that happen. That's kind of like my, kill switch of like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. It's time. And I think we're getting close to that. But if we can do it in a more reasonable way, I think the Creator Caucus would be a very good way to address creators' concerns. Now, this guy's first video. So not only is this guy a lawyer, but he's also a woodworker. God damn it, King of the Monsters. Something's wrong with you, man. We need to get you help. Oh, God. But this guy noticed something, and it was never brought up in court. Like, it's hands down evidence that probably could have been used, but it was not used.
Hey guys, welcome.
Woodworker attorney debunks Amber Heard's broken bed testimony. Now, remember, this is this guy's first video ever. His only claim at this point was just being on camera with other lawyers talking about Amber Heard. Now, he lived in the town. He actually practices in the town where the Amber Heard trial actually happened. So that's why when he reached out to what's her name, Legal Bites, he was able to be on the show and became a constant figure on the show and reacted live. And he realized something. There was a problem with Amber Heard's story. And you guys are about to learn about that today if you have not seen this video.
Welcome to Law and Lumber. My name is Rob Morton. I'm an attorney in Northern Virginia, practicing in the areas of domestic relations litigation and consumer bankruptcy matters. I also have a secondary passion in woodworking and custom furniture building, as you can probably tell from the shop where I'm coming at you from. To those followers that joined after watching me appear on Legal Bites, Nate the Lawyer, Uncivil Law, Hogue Law, Good Logic, or all of the other various LawTube channels, thank you so much for joining in. Without the support from you and the immense support from that LawTube community, this channel quite simply wouldn't exist. On this channel, we're going to tackle a little bit of everything, from legal analysis to building some custom furniture and maybe a few DIY hacks along the way. Regardless of where the channel goes, we're going to try and keep things fun. Okay? Now, let's jump into it. Many of you might know that I've been covering the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial taking place in Fairfax Circuit Court.
Fairfax, that's where it is.
Just down the road from here. As you might know,
it doesn't matter if you followed the trial or not.
$50 million defamation lawsuit against his former.
It does not matter if you followed the trial or not, because this is still incredible that this guy pointed this out. And the thing is, apparently, because I was really into this case, I think there wasn't a day I didn't watch it. But it was the lawyers really wanted to point it out, but they just had way too much shit to get done. And the judge really wanted to keep it at a tight, 6-week schedule, 5 or 6 week schedule, or else they would have potentially used his video, brought him in. That's at least that was in the rumor mill.
Former spouse Amber Heard, stemming from a December 2018 op-ed piece in the Washington Post, in which Depp claims that Heard implied that she was the victim of domestic violence at his hands.
Now remember, this guy's never made a YouTube video. This is his first video ever. He's kind of drab. I haven't seen a lot of his videos recently, but remember, because and you can look at a lot of my videos, that's not necessarily that I'm entertaining, but that the substance of my content is what sells it, right? What this guy gets into fucking blows your mind.
Depp has accused Heard of perpetuating a hoax to get him canceled while elevating her own notoriety. That forms the basis for her $100 million countersuit for defamation on those grounds. So today I want to talk about one specific claim that Amber's made in connection with the incident that she alleges occurred at Johnny Depp's Los Angeles penthouse condo on December 15th of 2015. Amber alleges that she and Depp were fighting and that Depp dragged her by her hair through the apartment and eventually ended up headbutting her. Amber, at that point, told Depp she was leaving him and turned away. She then alleges that Depp pushed her onto the bed in the second bedroom, pushed her face down onto the mattress, and that he put his knee on her back and other foot onto the bed frame while punching her in the back of the head repeatedly.
Okay. Did you all get that?
She alleges that the foot on the bed frame, caused the bed frame to splinter or break, words that she used interchangeably in the UK and the US litigation. She then states that she can't remember what happened next, only that she remembers some time passing and her friend Rocky Pennington coming into the room to find her on the floor. Here's the issue I noticed when listening to her testimony on this specific incident. The bed, quite simply, could not have broken in the manner that Amber describes.
This lawyer knows his woodworking. That's why he's called Law and Lumber. And I betcha he knows how to use wood.
But we can get to that a little bit later. First, let's listen to Amber describe the scene, or at least identify the photos so we get some context for what we're about to see.
Yes, it does. You want to remove the admission of defendants 509?
No objection.
All right, 509.
Will you please tell the jury what this is?
Right here.
That's the bed that Johnny broke. Well,
now do you see this? Do you see the mark that it makes?
that's the bed that Johnny broke. Well, on top of me.
Okay, so now we have the photo that identifies the bed itself.
The thing is, like, I know a lot of people hate her, but if you've never seen this video, you don't hate her enough.
Let's take a closer look at that and see if we can't see some more information about it, or at least get a little bit more context, okay? Okay, so she's identified the photo. So this is what's in evidence in the Fairfax Circuit Court trial. This is also the photo that was introduced in the UK trial. Now, this photo tells us a bunch of information about the bed itself. One, we know that this is the foot of the bed. We know that from a photo I'll show you in a second here. You also know that this bed is constructed via essentially timbers. Most beds you will see will be a 3/4 inch rail that will meet directly into a post and footboard. Instead, this appears to be a platform bed using rustic timbers to give a chunkier feel to it. We also know this because Amber describes it as being very, very heavy, which you'll hear a little bit later. But let's see if we can't learn any more information about this particular photo. So, here's something that we discovered in the Fairfax Circuit Court case, and it was discovered incident to various motions to compel and motions for sanctions.
Now remember, the trial was still going on during this time.
Regarding the metadata that was released. The
I'm sorry, I'm
metadata
getting nerdy on
indicates
this.
that this photo was taken on December 16th of 2015. Now you'll remember that Amber described the events as taking place December 15th in the evening. This photo was not taken until the very next day. Now let's take a closer look at the bed. This photo was taken from the virtual tour that was provided when Johnny was selling that condo. So from this photo, you can actually get a really good idea of the size of the bed and where we're talking about. So down the sides, you can see that those are the timbers. Timber comes, another timber meets, and another timber wraps back. You can actually see here the chunk is still existing. Odd though, this chunk in this photo appears to extend all the way to the edge, whereas the last photo, the chunk looked like it was limited to this area. I'm not sure that's relevant, but it's something worth noting. So one of the questions that I had when I first saw this photo is whether this timber itself was a faux or a fake timber, whether someone had basically created the look of
Oh yeah. This bed frame, like, remember, Johnny Depp at the time, like, this is before Robert Downey Jr. like made his millions off of well, hold on. Well, at the time, Johnny Depp was the highest paid actor, I think, in the entire world until RDJ, took that over.
Live edge by creating something
Like,
that looked like
Johnny
this,
Depp's fucking rich.
and then wrapping it to bring it down to the bottom. So a 3/4 inch piece and a 3/4 inch piece. Now, upon further inspection of the photo itself, you kind of learn that there's no way that's actually possible. And let me describe why. So, blowing that photo up and then adding a little bit of light to it, just to enhance the brightness so we can see a little clearer. You can see that this here, see these dark areas? These dark areas are end grain. Wood, when you look at it straight on like this is running with the grain. This is the end grain of the wood. The end grain of the wood, when you apply a stain, becomes far, far, far darker than the grain itself. The reason why is the grain pores run this way. When you think of a tree is growing up like that. When the tree is growing up, everything in here, all of the nutrients have to pass up and down. That's what forms the grain structure in wood. So when you cut a piece of wood right across the top and expose the end grain, you are exposing all of those cellular grain structures that pass nutrients from the earth all the way to the leaves. And when you put stain on those, the stain absorbs faster and heavier into those areas, which results in this extra darkening.
Now, if you guys really think about like my latest Alana Pierce video, I spend a lot of time in exposition and build up, like going over the evidence before I do my big reveal. This is the same exact strategy. It's usually not like the one thing that I've heard about my videos is that they start kind of slow and they want me to get to the point, but there's a reason why I want to give all that information there so everyone has as much context as possible.
So now that we know about the bed, let's see what happens, or let's see what Amber alleges happens in order to cause that break. Okay, so now that we have an idea of what the bed looks like, let's get into the specifics of Amber's allegations. Now, this is the statement that she made in the UK trial. We're going to walk through the relevant portions here. At this point in time, you can see from the top that she is alleging Johnny had pushed her onto the bed and got on top of her. Okay? Now, what you can see is that she is saying that his whole weight was on me, and he put his knee on my back and his other foot on the bed frame. This is the part I want you to focus on. Knee on the back, other foot on the bed frame.
Are we following? Are we following, people?
At the same time, he was punching me in the head, screaming over and over so loudly right in my ear how much he hated me. The bed frame splintered, and that's all I remember. She goes on to say that she doesn't remember anything else until her friend Rocky Pennington comes in the room and she's sitting on the floor after Johnny had left. So that's Amber's statement in the UK trial. This is what the UK court basically found her claim to be. This was taken from one of Johnny's responses to either discovery responses or to the UK court's recitation of Amber's allegations. At this point in time, let's take a look at this. All right. So, fight continued on the bed. Claimant got on top of Ms. Heard and placed his knee on her back, similar statement, and other foot on the bed frame while repeatedly punching her in the head. Claimant screamed, we're not sure how we're going to edit this one. I don't think I'm going to leave the profanities in for this particular video. I bleeping hate you. Over and over again. The bed frame splintered under the weight of the pressure of the claimant's boot.
Now, you guys see that bed frame, right? So we're at 8:55. Do you think that a fully grown man would be able to compete with that hunk of wood? Well, apparently, Miss Heard was making that claim. So we're going to go to 8:55. And we're going to get a little woodworking lesson.
The bed frame splintered under the weight of the pressure of the claimant's boot. So the UK court is basically saying, per Amber, that the reason why the bed splintered was because Johnny's boot had exerted so much pressure that it caused the timber to actually splinter. Okay? So that's the UK court's recitation of Amber's claim. Now, curiously, Whitney, Amber's sister, also gave a statement. Now, hers is a little bit more interesting. In Whitney's statement, she says that when she got there, the bed was disheveled. She noticed it had a very heavy wood frame, which also supports our understanding that this was a solid timber framed bed, and noticed that it had splintered and there was a chip in the wood. I like this word. We're going to focus on that in a minute here. It's going to make a lot of sense soon. There was blonde hair and blood stuck in the splinter on the bed frame. Now that part, I'm wondering if you guys are asking questions yourselves. It might be explained away by Amber's statement of being leaning against the bed when Rocky got in there, but It seemed kind of odd to me. So now that we know what the allegations are, let's do this. Let's hear Amber say them in her own words in the Fairfax trial at Thursday's hearing. Okay?
Okay.
This is her description of the incident, specifically focused on that particular time when she is saying that the bed splintered under Johnny's weight. So let's take a look at this.
I was sitting on the edge of the bed, on the carpet of the floor against the broken frame of the bed, and there was a low-lying bed with a really thick wooden frame, and it was broken from his boot trying to get a purchase on it while he was...
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
I could feel it.
Overruled. Thank you. Please continue.
That's my point, Roadkill. And that's
there
this
for
lawyer's point is, who's also a woodworker.
And while he was on top of me, I could feel that. I could feel him trying to get balance. I could feel him slipping. I could hear it. I don't know how I got off the bed. I don't know what happened to me from the time I stopped hearing myself scream. I don't know what happened to me. It's a really weird feeling because next thing I remember is leaning against the broken part of the bed and on the carpet, and my friend saying, "Oh my God, oh my God."
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Sustained.
Okay, so that's the relevant part of the testimony for our purposes. Now, the thing that I found curious about that one, well, one, let's go ahead and clear up the fact that Amber testified there that her head was leaning against the bed, which might explain why a blonde hair was in the chip on the bed. But the most interesting part of that testimony is her testimony saying that she could feel it, that she knew and that she was there. The reason why that's interesting to me is because, one, her face was down per her own testimony. Her testimony was that Johnny was pushing her head so far into the covers that she was muffled. She felt like she couldn't breathe, and his whole weight was on her body. Remember the statement earlier, knee on the back and foot on the bed. Yet she testifies that she can feel him squirming around, or at least trying to gain purchase on the bed. Now, this is important because it also gives you an understanding of where Johnny's boots are, and how Amber reaches this conclusion that the boots somehow caused the break in the bed.
And if you guys don't know, if you guys weren't paying attention to the whole Amber Turd thing at the time, man, all the theories that were going out there ended up being incredibly true. And we say this over and over again in our community. A lot of people are projecting a lot and lying by omission. In this case, a lot of lying by omission, a lot of projection, and then just straight up lying.
We'll just have to explore it. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to actually do a little baby mock-up of this bed, and I'm going to explain to you why, given the bed's construction and the description that Johnny's boots actually caused that break, that this testimony is, for lack of a better term, complete BS and not possible. Okay. So, as you can see here, we have a little mock-up of Johnny's bed.
We're doing like Bill Nye the Science Guy here, and it's fascinating.
Now, this is done with 4x4 pine, which is a little bit smaller, but still the same material that was Johnny's bed. I could tell it was pine. You can tell it was pine because if you look back at those photos, you can see the width between the grain. That gives you an indication that it's a softwood rather than a hardwood. A lot of hardwood you will see will have tighter grain patterns. So now with these timbers, what you're going to see is that in order to get the timber, they generally have to cut almost a full tree. The larger the timber, the larger the tree. But generally, they're all going to be this particular pattern where you're going to have the circle, the very center of the tree, towards the center of the timber. Now this is relevant when we start talking about how this is alleged to have occurred. So we have our two lengthwise posts, and then the footboard of the bed. Now, per Amber's testimony, if this is the mattress where my hand is right here, then Johnny's feet are here on the footboard trying to, in her words, gain purchase.
Gain purchase.
Now, the interesting thing about the gaining purchase is it kind of illustrates the problem here. Grain, as we discussed earlier, runs this way. These are very tight concentric tight cellular structures. Imagine if they were, let's say, call them straws. If everything here was a straw running in this direction, and let's say that you wanted to divide those straws, you would actually have to put something in between those straws and wiggle and pry your way in. Now, the reason why that's important here is because with this type of wood, and actually with all woods, you need something sharp to get in between those grains. If you put a blunt object up against here, it's just not going to do anything. For anyone who's ever hammered pine, you know that you're going to dent the pine before you ever break it off because you're hitting it with a blunt object. Let's illustrate what Amber was describing as Johnny doing. So, now that we've got it situated this way, what we're looking at is mattress over here, Johnny allegedly over here. Now, I don't have any fancy boots, but I do have work boots. So, we're going to try and illustrate what it is that Amber's saying.
I know I'm not doing a lot of commentary here, but I'm just fascinated, like how this guy, like a lot of people look at me like, how'd you find this information? I'm like, I don't know. I just like went out and searched for it. But this guy actually is a lawyer and had knowledge. And he was just the right person at the right time with the right video.
With a Timberland Pro. So we have our work boot. Now, you can see as the work boot goes in, there's no way, given the size of that work boot, that you're going to get anywhere enough pull, period. It just slides right off. There's nothing it's ever going to catch. It's because the tip of the work boot, no matter how sharp it is not sharp enough to cut into that grain structure.
Yep.
It's just not going to happen. It doesn't matter if it's a leather-soled, skinny shoe, unless it's one of those super spy boots that has a kick-out blade, it ain't going to get in between that grain. Right? Let me show you the only way that you can get into that grain. With a sharp object, like, for example, a knife. If I wiggle a knife in here, you can see that I can wiggle back and forth, and I have what Amber was describing, purchase. There is no grip that I can get, either with my hand or a boot, that does anything to dig into that grain that would cause that type of fracture. So let me do one more little thing to show you something. So here's what we've done. We've taken away
It doesn't matter, Hippo. It doesn't matter.
Leaving only the footrest. The only fathomable way that I can see that particular break happening, as described
Remember,
by Amber
it's a
Heard,
particular break.
is something like this.
But not the same type of break, Zombied. Now watch this, and watch the comparison. But remember,
A sharp knife is the only thing that can penetrate
so
the grain.
Zombied, it would have to you would have to intentionally do that with your boot if you had sharp boots. And there's not a lot of sharp boots on the market that would be like that.
In order to cause that split.
No worries, King of the Monsters. You have a good night.
Sharp knife and leverage is the only thing that can make that pop. So when you're looking at wood like this, when you have grain running this way, you see this, that type of break.
The type of break
by this sharp knife leverage. And I'll tell you why that makes me very curious. This is why Amber Heard's testimony bothered me that day. Because what I
very similar breaks, huh? So I mainly was going with sometimes like this guy's first video got over 1.3 million views. And I wanted to give an example of like sometimes it's the right person at the right time with the right experience. How many people do you know that is a lawyer that's in the same district as the Amber Heard versus Depp versus Heard trial, who also reached out to Legal Bites, who was covering the trial live at the time, a lawyer that practiced there, who was also a woodworker, and was on panel shows reviewing the entire live, the entire trial. Like all these things stacked up. First video, 1.3 million views. His first live stream had like over 2,000 people in it. Like automatically. And he was just testing it out.
Was this type of damage, which is what's reflected on that particular bed. That damage is caused by a knife. Now, I'm not saying what this is.
What's that?
I'll leave that for the judge, the jury, and the trial attorneys to decide if they want to argue that point. But to me, I don't know. What do you guys think? Why don't you leave your answers in the comments below? Thank you very much for watching this video. If you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, it really does mean a lot. This community has been fantastic to me. I've very much loved being a part of it. I wish to continue being a part of it. And the only way I can do that is by your help. If you haven't checked out the rest of LawTube, please do so. You can reach them via any of the links that you'll see in Legal Bites' coverage of this trial. Hope to be coming to you guys soon with additional information. But anyways, in the interim, thank you for watching. Hope this helps you guys understand. I am just a lawyer and woodworker, but to me, this was pretty compelling.
His first video, 1.4 million views 3 years ago. And even when we go to, if I remember correctly, let's see. Oh, did he delete it? Oh, god damn it. Looks like he deleted it. No, this guy's first live stream, he didn't expect like a ton of people to just like show up. Okay, guys. I actually really have to poop right now. So, real quick, video real fast so I can take a dookie. And remember, bros, be bros.
Yo, this is Recap Raps. Get your bros together, because we're about to do the Lord of the Rings trilogy right now. Get ready, here we go. Check this long postcard for a country that's more New Zealand than sheep playing rugby. It's an epic from Tolkien's pages, an awesome tale of bromance for the ages. In the Shire, it's a pleasant place with meadows and trees and flowers and scary face. Run from the Nazgul and run into Strider, who's actually Aragorn and loves Liv Tyler. Take it up to Rivendell where they meet Agent Smith. My soul, my blood, my axe, fellowship, Moria, cave trolls, holy shit, Balrog. You shall not pass. Later, Gandalf, visit with Galadriel where everybody's safe. Visions in the water and even more scary face. Meanwhile, Saruman just kinda chills, and of course Sean Bean goes and gets himself killed. Power Trio leaves to throw down. Frodo saves Sam so he won't drown. That's what these movies are all about. Just a bunch of bros just broing out. Lord of the Rings, it is all about bros, helping bros. Tell your bros, come and sing. They will not be opposed, they're your bros. The fellowship is hella broke. Frodo and Sam on a lonely road until they meet a new bro with a split perspective. He wants the help, but he wants the precious. March through the forest and a flash of light. Is it Saruman? No, it's freaking Gandalf the White. And Rohan, Wormtail's up to something. Kick his ass, free King Benjamin Button. Gotta lead the city so they don't get slaughtered. Play Aragorn, puts a Theoden stutter. Holy shit, orcs on orcs attack, and then Aragorn dies. JK Aragorn's back. Pippin and Merry are also there too, broing out in the forest with but back to Helm's Deep, where the soldiers get rattled. Uruk-hai march, crying out for a battle. Arrows fly, kill counts, rain keeps pouring down. Orcs ran the door, no one's safe or sound till they turn around. Gandalf's back in town, cause bros don't ever let a bro down. Lord of the Rings, it is bros being bros, helping bros. Girls are welcome too. Well, of course they are bros for all bros. Fellowship bros head to Isengard. Saruman trolls, but he dies hard. Faramir wounded and his father in turn lights a pyre, catches fire, takes a dive, sink, burn. Pelennor fields fighting orcs and the Witch King. Legolas and Gimli keep their friendly competition. Get a clutch assist from Ghost Hunt and Aragorn. I am no man. They have victory at Pelennor. Smeagol leads the hobbits through a spider. Whoa. Frodo Rapid Sam becomes a fighter. Bro cuts it with Sting and then Frodo gets taken, but nobody's safe while Rudy's rampaging. Mount Doom almost there. Frodo gets pooped What's Sam gonna do? I can carry you! Surprise, bitches! Fight digit, tables almost turn. Golem in the ring and the lava sick burn. Mortar goes tits up, Sauron collapses. Giant eagle save. Really? Time elapses. Frodo wakes up, bro scream and shout. Bouncing on the bed, just broing out. But we're not done yet. Aragorn's king now. Live till there's fine, they immediately make out. Bro hugs all around, hobbits don't bow down. Ended on a zoom out. How you like your bros now? Oh, we're back in the Shire. Hobbits drink away the events that transpired. Sam meets a girl and they quickly have a wedding. Flowers and smiles, that's gotta be the ending. Guess not, back in Frodo's nook. Suppose he needs to wrap up writing the book, and that's gotta be it. Hold on, no. Frodo's gotta leave again on a boat, and that's the end. Wait, we're back in the Shire? Sam's got a family. Cool, man, I'm tired. Close up on a big-ass yellow door, and... oh, thank God. That was the Lord of the Rings trilogy, y'all. And this is Recap Wraps. Leave a comment letting us know what you...
It was a good dookie. I was proud of it. Oh! Oh no, I already addressed this. I just haven't clicked on it yet. Awesome stream and great discussion today. Woo! From King of the Monsters, $1.99. I think he already went to do adulting stuff. But thank you so much, King of the Monsters. I'm sorry I didn't address that earlier. Okay, so like I said before, we had, I thought, was breaking news. But it seemed like it was a little bit of clickbait. I don't know, but I looked at the comment section, but it looks like More Pegasus has another video for us to take a look at. And not gonna lie, guys, I was had. Because when you see this thumbnail, you kind of think the worst.
Okay, we gotta talk about the CoffeeZilla situation. Basically, if you didn't know, there's a YouTuber or podcaster called Adam22 who is now calling CoffeeZilla a grifter for exposing his crypto scam. Now, you might have heard of Adam22 from certain other situations where he was pimping out his wife to certain actors to make more money. Keep in mind, Adam has a kid who was being shown in his social media posts as well. They are certainly going to have insane level of trauma from this. Probably going to...
Can you imagine if your parents are corn stars, the amount of therapy that you're going to need to have afterwards? God. I mean, Pride Month is essentially done, but man, we got to shame some more, guys. We got to shame some more.
Gonna get bullied in school. It is just a disgusting situation all around, and because of that, Adam became the laughingstock of the internet.
We had the situation with Jason Love 2 years ago.
Do you think that you f***ed her better than Adam did?
Well, obviously, yes.
Right. Anyways, it turns out he's gone on a podcast called Clickbaited. This is ran by the Dexerto news account, and he decided to talk shit about CoffeeZilla trying to expose him. And
I have a question, ladies and gentlemen. For anybody that has ever talked shit about CoffeeZilla, has that ever worked well for them? Ever? The answer is no. The answer is no. It has never worked out for them. I'm sorry. You do not want to be in CoffeeZilla's crosshairs. You will be found. You will be found out, and he will report you to the authorities.
I don't like pointing this out because usually it's not relevant and I want to address people's arguments instead, but for someone so cloud obsessed, you gotta play ball. Dude, this video got 947 views. Bro, what the heck? I legitimately thought this was a YouTube glitch or something, but the video had like 20 likes, so this is the actual view count. And if you look at the guests before this, we literally had Vicstar from the Sidemen, Laserbeam, 20 likes, so this is
wow. I didn't know this. 947 views. Mark Robert banned from Hinge? Interesting. 78,000 views. And apparently this is ran by Dexerto, which, you know, they're known more so on Twitter. They're not known for their podcast, which is more than fine. But wow. not a lot of people either do not like Adam 22 or they don't give a shit. This kind of reminds me of Rice Gum. What was his famous line? Like, you're irrelevant. Man, that means that the Adam 22 has officially become a lolcow in the YouTube space. I mean, I haven't seen his like personal channel in a while, but damn.
At the actual view count. And if you look at the guests before this, we literally had Vicstar from the Sidemen, Laserbeam, Mark Rober, and then they ran out of popular guests and I guess went with Adam 22. Anyway, so CoffeeZilla uploaded a new video titled Adam 22 addresses scam allegations. So let's just go over this whole situation.
Now, Adam 22 used to like me. He used to invite me on his show, but now he's mad. He says I'm the grifter. Why? Because I called him out when he ran a scam and I warned him ahead of time. What's so crazy about this story is we're about to go through his explanation, but what fails is that I told him ahead of time. He's going to say, oh, I didn't know it was going to be shady. I had no idea. But I told him before he ever promoted it. So the irony is he's telling people, oh, CoffeeZilla's the grifter. He's making videos about this stuff. I wouldn't have made the video if you hadn't run the coin.
Funny how
Okay, guys, I got to make a big announcement here. I am launching my own crypto coin. It's called Invisible. It's going to be incredibly popular. It's going to go to the non-existent moon. Can you buy it? No. Can you invest in it? No. It is invisible. You will never find it. But I am launching one. And I'm not going to make millions because it doesn't exist. You want to know why? Because even CoffeeZilla can't find my invisible coin. I'm nobody. Well, this is so invisible, it's nothing. God, I am so lame.
Absolutely everybody used to be a CoffeeZilla fan until they got exposed for their crypto scam. I remember even Logan Paul was a huge fan of CoffeeZilla. I love his work, actually. Great investigative work. Truly exposing the scammers. Oh, wait.
Man, I remember watching the entire Logan Paul thing when CoffeeZilla came out with his trilogy of videos. And as experienced as a YouTuber as Logan Paul is, and with all the controversies, it just shows that Logan Paul has learned nothing. At least to me, it just seems to me that it was all a facade since the unalived forest in Japan. He has learned nothing. I don't think he actually cares about what he did, and I don't think that his apology tour actually meant anything. This man just has made billions of dollars failing upwards. And maybe now, guys, because of his lawsuit with CoffeeZilla, might have exposed himself even more. These people eventually will continue to step on rakes, but then they hit the one rake that really stops them in their tracks. And I'm hoping that this lawsuit is the final rake that Logan Paul steps on. And possibly, because we all know that certain legal documents went to the SEC, and they're looking into Mr. Logan Paul. So there is a possibility that one of the biggest content creators in the entire world might go to prison, or at least heavily fined. But we can all pray for prison.
right, now he's talking about me. Now I just hate his guts. Now I'm going to sue him because I'm a petty billionaire and I want to make his life hell. But yeah, essentially what happened is Adam22 was about to do a crypto scam, and CoffeeZilla anticipated this and actually DM'd him and let him know beforehand. He said that, hey, you know, these people you're working with can't be trusted. There's a bunch of snipers. So what's going to end up happening is you're going to do a scam or you're going to yourself get scammed. And Adam obviously did not care about this and ignored the warning, and he went through with the scam, and now he's trying to pretend.
Yeah, it was so the whole entire project was called Crypto Zoo. It was an app that was also a game. And if I remember correctly, you bought zoo tokens to purchase eggs that would mature and hatch. And by itself, it's actually not the worst idea in the world, but I mean, between a combination of him not, leading the team, choosing probably the worst people to work with, ended up being just the worst. So it could be just pure incompetence, and he would have been able to get away with that. But Logan Paul, if I remember correctly, continued to step on rakes and make very poor business decisions that were not consumer friendly, as far as we know.
That he had no idea what was going on. He's trying to pretend that CoffeeZilla never warned him, and now he's calling CoffeeZilla a grifter. So here's some DMs from them from earlier this year.
And then you did it anyways because you don't care about your fans. Here's the quotes here. Real talk, you shouldn't run a coin. It's lame and you're going to get scammed. You're going to scam or get scammed.
WaxP blockchain had the tech to do what he wanted when he wanted to do it, but it's harder to rug on WaxP compared to Ethereum. I'm guessing that you're trying to say that, Ethereum. Well, I don't know anything about crypto, so I'm just going to take your word for it here. Yeah, I know nothing about the blockchain, anything like that. But it does sound like that. Well, it depends if the programmers that were doing the entire thing, who he hired, knew about it. But we all know that. I think if I remember correctly, Logan Paul. And I'm just doing this on the top of the dome. I don't quite remember, so I might be wrong here. That his manager was more so the person that looked for the people to hire. So it's been questionable how hands-on Mr. Logan Paul was for this particular venture, we shall call it.
He says, how am I going to afford all this Galaxy gas? Then I told him these snipers were planning to already snipe the coin. Quote, people are literally plotting to snipe the coin, make a bundle off someone who doesn't know any better. So this is all pre him actually doing it. Now he's saying, oh, I didn't know. Nobody told me. CoffeeZilla's a grifter for covering the fact that I did it anyways.
All right, I'm actually sick of this. We got to pull up the dictionary definition of grifter, okay? We got a person who...
I feel like the term grifter has been, it's kind of like racist, bigots, and sexist nowadays, that people use it in such a dishonest term that no one, like, it's lost all meaning. Grifter, racist, just all that jazz. I don't know. It's just something that bothers me.
Who engages in petty or small-scale swindling. Or we can look at this definition, a person who engages in grifting, often using charm, persuasion, or deceit to manipulate others. And the example given, the con artist was a skilled grifter, convincing people to invest in a fake business before disappearing with their money. Wow, I wonder who this applies to between Adam22 and CoffeeZilla, guys. Dude, it's so obvious that Coffee is not grifting. He's obviously just exposing bad actors and legitimate scammers. And we found out in the last video when I was talking about Logan Paul that CoffeeZilla is taking it a step further. He's not doing it for some quick YouTube views that might be a side bonus or whatever, and I'm sure he enjoys making videos and stuff like that. But this guy, behind the scenes, is legitimately reporting people to the FBI and the SEC. This guy is reporting people to the US government government. And what's even more insane, some of these people are legitimately getting arrested. The flippin' SEC.
Oh yeah. Apparently, from what Colin Bright coming in.
Shush grifter, rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
God damn it. Oh God. I got him, guys. I got Colin. He doesn't know what I'm gonna use that $2 for. Those 2 pounds, not euros. Sorry, my bad. I might buy more soda. I'll be soda poppin'. I'll just shut up now. But anyway, yes, apparently between the FBI and the SEC, they fucking love CoffeeZilla. Between his reporting just on his YouTube channel and actually giving a lot of information to them. Like people have been arrested because of this. I like off the top of my mind. Well, Sam Bankman-Fried was one of them. Man, there's people that will never be paid back from this ever, because all the money that he made probably went to his little naked escapades and to both of our political parties here in the U.S.
Is thanking him for his detailed reports or something and his thorough analysis and shit.
Specifically, it's common knowledge that he had a strong hand in blowing open the lid about the FTX
Hey,
fraud.
Tomby, how you doing?
That's a big reason why Sam Bankman-Fried was convicted of a number of federal offenses.
Dude, Coffee is a absolute legend. He's literally doing God's work here, cleaning.
Man, guys, I'll know that I made it if my reporting gets someone in jail. I don't think I have any juice for that on anybody. I mean, I can embarrass them to death, but I don't think I have found anybody that is worth going to prison yet. Maybe one day. One can hope.
Cleaning up the trash, and the fact that Adam just calls him a grifter is just insane. That term is reserved for clowns like yourself. And the thing is, now we even know that he was warned before he did the crypto scam, right? So he can't even pretend, because the thing is, Coffee literally told you, and you can't even argue that, oh, I didn't see the DMs, or I didn't talk to Coffee. You saw the DMs, you flippin' responded, you knew exactly what you were doing. In fact, let's actually just go over those texts in detail, because Coffee kind of skimmed over it, right?
Okay. So I know that we're about to learn more because I don't know a lot about this situation whatsoever. So I'm learning right now with you guys. Now, depending on what Adam22 says, either Adam22 absolutely knew that this was going to be a rug pull and was going to make a lot of money out of it, or it's going to be revealed that he just didn't care either way, or that he is a victim. And in one of CoffeeZilla's most recent videos, they showed Jason Derulo, who got scammed by that one guy. By the way, great video. If you ever have seen CoffeeZilla's latest video, I'll find it and I'll link it in the chat here afterwards. But those are the only 3 things. Either he didn't care, he was scammed, or he was in on it. Those are the only 3 options.
Okay, so basically Coffee says these guys want to snipe your coin, and then he says, I don't care. I just got paid to do the tweet. I got nothing to do with it. Brother, if you are promoting something, you have something to do with it now. By promoting something, you are putting your name on it, and you are taking responsibility for whatever this is. So Coffee responds saying,
You know what the job of a YouTuber or content creator is? That to at least some extent, sometimes it's limited to a community, but you at least have an understanding of the social goings on how the internet is running, what people are talking about, what people get pissed about, and what people like. It's fairly simple. There's a lot more intricacies to it. I'm sure, we have some content creators in here right now, like the real Tomby. He knows what I'm talking about. Sometimes you're really niche, but even if you're niche, there is still a broader context that these social media stars should know by now. But sometimes it depends on the beginnings of where they came from. So, I hate using her as an example, but she's the first that comes to mind is Alyssa Mercante. Her majority of her career was with corporations, was with businesses, with the mainstream press. So when she actually got out to the internet, to actual content creation, and didn't have the shield of a multi-million, corporation behind her, she got a real big dose of reality, and she, doesn't like reality, as far as I can tell. And then you look at Adam 22 here. I'm not quite sure what his beginnings are, whether they were humble or not, but he does come from the adult industry. And that comes from certain protections. And sounds like that he has been able to monetize his experience within that industry. This is one of the problems what happens when you stay concealed in that industry and you don't watch other content or don't know what's going on. But the thing is, your reputation is everything. I thought that I've bruised my reputation a time or here before in just the few months that I've been doing this. But at least within a day, I was able to recognize my mistake. And thankfully, there was people out there who were wiser than me, who talked to me, who told me to get my head out of my ass and apologize. So, that's why I liked saying, have a community that will call you out, who will praise you and slap you in the face if they need to. And then I see shit like this. Content creators making millions of dollars from their fans, potentially bankrupting them, and being like, oh, well. And the thing is, we all know that Adam 22 has more than enough money at this point. More than enough. But these kind of content creators, they just fucking make me sick.
That's even worse. Scamming the fans? Adam responds, I'm gonna venture a guess that approximately 0% of my fans know how to do anything with crypto.
Oh my God, that's so much worse. He just basically told CoffeeZilla, the guy that is the whistleblower that communicates with the SEC and the FBI, that he thinks his fans are dumb. Wow. Yeah, well, I think Zombie, it sounds like that you're a little bit more informed than I am in regards to crypto. But it does sound like that now they're starting to clamp down on these crypto schemes a bit. I'm not going to say they're going all out, but I think with high profiles, well, high profile is a stretch, but high profiles, enough of a profile like Adam 22. Well,
Okay, keep this message in mind because there's actually a very telling clip about this specific text later in the video that we'll be looking at. And it was Coffee response saying, I don't believe that. Obviously not 0%. Even my audience who has nothing to do with crypto, there's more than 0% who are interested in crypto, obviously, but just by the sheer number of people that are watching, right? I don't believe that, but setting it aside, you do know it's a grift, right? People are literally plotting to snipe the coin, make a bundle off someone who doesn't know any better. How much did they offer you? So Coffee obviously knows he's getting paid to do this shit, and after seeing all these texts, which is a clear warning to Adam 22 exactly what is going to happen, Adam willingly decides to ignore this because he wanted to make a quick buck, and adding some additional
Uh, hey, Bats. So Zombied. Yeah, I unfortunately am more knowledgeable in crypto. Trump knows whom some of the ruggers are now that he did his coin. Just saying. Oh yeah, gotta call it out when you have to. He could build a better system with the knowledge that he gained. Okay. I mean, well, see, here's the thing. There's a very big difference between making a mistake and either willfully or ignorantly know that you are going to be rug pulling or just not caring. And man, like I don't know, maybe this is a theory between Logan Paul and like Adam 22. If you have enough controversies that you can get through, because let's be honest, like doing adult stuff, depending on the context, I mean, either way, it's not a good look. So if you're always going to be viewed as the villain, maybe that gives these content creators almost like an incentive to embrace the villainy. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what Adam 22 or Logan Paul is, but I can understand the mentality of it.
Additional context here. I don't know if Coffee knew this about him or he didn't think it was relevant or whatever, but Adam has actually said in the past that he was kind of going broke as well, and his business was absolutely failing. Now, that is just his word, but he did seem desperate enough to try to pull stunts like this.
He was on the verge of losing everything regarding his No Jumper brand, coming forward publicly to announce that he had been burning through money like crazy and was no longer turning a profit from this venture.
So, there's something that I've been hiding from you guys.
Let's see.
No Jumper is going broke.
I wanted to just give that context as to why he's so desperate to make money, right? Now, obviously, going broke is not a justification at all for this. I don't care if you're dirt cheap poor, you don't get to crypto scam people, okay? That's not how the world works. Now, what I also don't understand is that this guy has been selling his soul for money in like every avenue possible, right? So he was literally selling out his own wife or whatever, and putting that on possibly OnlyFans or other shit like that. So I'm just confused. Where did all of that money go? Like, how are these people so astronomically bad with their finances? Like, when you make like $1 million or a couple $1,000,000, where is that money? Like, just freaking invest it so you never have to worry about anything ever again. I just don't understand this logic. They're so flippin' stupid.
I am so confused how someone can burn that much money. I'm gonna have to think on that. Hopefully we'll learn a little bit more.
And then they end up having to do the most deplorable, humiliating shit humanity has ever seen. So anyways, getting back to the video, basically
already
the
doing the most
humiliating
shit that anyone's ever seen. He was, doing adult stuff with his wife. And as far as I know, I believe, I could be mistaken here, but there's a portion of the show that is on Torn hub, and then like a big portion of money is on an OF account that does these interviews and the adult activities. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, there was a lot of subscribers to that, especially for a podcast that seemingly shouldn't be that expensive to produce. That's why a lot of comedians are doing this, that it's not expensive to produce and the costs are low and you don't have a lot of employees to go over. So I'm really confused on how someone can burn that money. Don't do anything yourself when you have to hire every role and job, including your own as an owner. Money flies. No. I completely understand that, but I think. Oh, you know what? This is actually a really good point. Jerks are charged more. No, actually, I think I was coming at this at a very different aspect, because I have this feeling that outside of maybe TikTok or Instagram, that Adam 22 probably has never edited a long form video before, or at least never made an attempt. So even just having basic knowledge can actually give you an advantage on how to build your business well. So if he's being overcharged, see, even the money isn't making sense here. So I don't know, something's off, Zombie. Like I completely understand where you're coming from, but something is off. I'm wondering if it's more personal spending than it is company spending.
Adam 22 about Coffee exposing him, and then he responds.
We have to correct the record sometimes on these guys because they go on these.
He always outsourced. Most likely, his knowledge is managing teams. Well, apparently not very well. Like, I don't know. I don't know all of Adam 22's history, but I don't know. Something's off, man. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Both? Why not both? That's probably, the most, what's the saying? The most simplest answer is usually the right one.
Podcast after they've been called out and they address things. Have you ever heard that? Adam 22 responds. Adam 22 addresses crypto pump and dump accusations. But the addressing is always a subtle recharacterization of what actually happened.
CoffeeZilla blasts Adam 22 for launching crypto.
I spent $250K in 2 weeks when doctor told me I had the big C. Wait a minute. Wasn't there a whole thing? I'm not sure if it's in the UK or not, but someone was told they got the big C and then spent a ton of money, and then it turned out they didn't have the big C. You're not that guy, are you, Colin? Wait, you had the big C? Like, is that real?
Crypto pump and dump despite warnings. Basically, someone was hounding me, telling me that they would pay me a large sum of money to do a crypto promotion on my story. I thought it's just a random.
Wait, Colin, wasn't there like a big news story about you? I mean, assume because I. Okay. No, because there was a really big story out there, and I don't know where it was, but I mean, if that is all true, though, Colin, like, and hopefully it didn't make the news or anything, like, you you got like, hey, take it from the guy who was forced to dox himself. You have to be very careful. You never know when a wire might might give it away.
Ad deal type thing. I do ad deals all the time for thousands of dollars. Why would I not do something for hundreds of thousands of dollars? I thought nobody was going to care.
All right, so the first part of his explanation is, look, I thought I could get away with it. I thought nobody would care. Nobody would address this.
Yep, so basically that is exactly what it is. Adam just didn't think that people would care enough, right? He thought that he could just get away with it and...
Zombied. We figured it out. He might just be dumb. Adam 22 just might be dumb. Or has the social awareness of a gopher. No, wait, that's giving Adam 22 too much credit. The social awareness of... Nope, cockroach is too good. The social awareness of a box of crayons. There we go.
And nobody would look into it, or,
Because I had to choose something that didn't have any intelligent life.
people would just forget. And that is the real reason why he actually went through with it. It's not that he didn't know it was a scam. It was that he absolutely knew it was a scam, but thought he could get away with it. Also, that excuse is so insane.
God, that's
people
so
were
much
just
worse.
hounding me constantly. What does that even mean? This is almost like certainly over social media because these are some random crypto people. So what, they were messaging you on Twitter? Wow, that is so hard to ignore, man. You're literally a creator with millions.
Dude, I bet you anything. Well, it's not Twitter. It's usually Instagram. Like, for some reason, like these scammers, these crypto bros that like hound these celebrities to like pay them big money for a deal to only rug pull and snipe them. It's always through Instagram, and then they ask them to make a post on X. Like that, which I kind of understand because I think that, X is, as much as that it's, improved in some ways and it's kind of detracted in others. X is still the wild wild west in many concerns. Because I don't think you'd be able to get away with it on Instagram very well, but I know people do. Oh man, this is so much worse. I knew I was scamming my fans. I just didn't think I'd get caught. I'm like, it's called social media. And you have a big following. Like, hypothetically, guys, if I did it, I don't have enough subscribers or followers to even get rich off of it. Because remember, like in terms of like clicking, as long as you're doing 5% or a little bit more than that, like from your following, like you can actually do some do very well in this space as long as you kind of keep that 5% click-through rate. But but if you have hundreds of thousands of followers, and there's people that you have to assume that people follow you just to hate you. People follow you just to, like, I follow people just to see if I can catch them. Like, and like for my latest Alana Pierce video, I just had a tab open that it was on search for YouTube, and I had it set to latest update, something like that. Latest upload, and then just one day, and I'd refresh it about 2 or 3 times a day, see if there was anything stupid she'd say. And one day there was that interview, hopped right on it. There's vultures everywhere, even if we're the good guys.
Millions of followers, you get a million messages. Ignore them. That is literally part of the job. You know how many dumbass sponsor messages I've gotten? Like, promote the latest crypto meme coin or whatever? You simply just don't respond or tell them you're not interested. It's simple as that. Acting like you have no choice. Oh, they were flooding my inbox. I just had to do it. Shut up and take some responsibility for once in your life. Now, after this, Coffee talks about an old clip where Adam essentially admits why he went through with the scam.
But here's the thing. I found it old.
If I ever did like a scam thing, like a crypto scam, like say I got an offer or something like that, man, I would need to do something so that I would be telling my audience that it's a scam, don't buy it, and still get paid so that there'd be no rug pull whatsoever. But that's because could you imagine, like, hey, JWatt got $7,000, for promoting this crypto coin, but he was smart and told his entire audience secretly not to buy it. Because then I'd be scamming the scammers.
Old clip of Adam 22 talking about this, and I realized there's actually a different reason.
Yeah, Jason Derulo tried it. Didn't necessarily go his way.
And he knows that it's not about people not caring. It's that there's only so many videos that grifters like me can ultimately make. And you see Adam 22, the wheels turning a few years ago, where he realizes maybe you just get away with it.
Millions of dollars off it, and it's trash. They're not tweeting about it anymore. They made bags off it, and they didn't really incur that much of a social penalty because it's like CoffeeZilla can only make videos about so many people. Like
right.
The that he made videos about Steve will do it doing, or the Save the Kids thing or whatever. It's like those are just the ones that were big enough for it to
those
be
are
worth
highlights.
Him catching. It's like so many people. Like I remember when Soulja Boy was just selling every single tweet of his ever.
So this is somebody who appreciated CoffeeZilla, but truly did not understand his reach. And he doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big or small you are, because I think Adam 22 was looking at this like, I'm not Jason Derulo. I'm not Hollywood famous. I'm not sellout concert famous. There's no way I'd get in this much trouble. Fucking dumbasses that step on rakes.
He probably made a of money off
Right.
that, and nobody even remembers.
And there it is!
Yes, so if I can get away with it, then it's okay. That is the logic he is operating off of. Let's just ignore the morality of scamming people or even the legality of it, right? Just ignore all of that. The only thing that matters is if I can get away with it without it completely destroying my career. I mean, it's a little one-time thing. Nobody's gonna notice. I mean,
He doesn't understand that the feds are starting to crack down on that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if he was paid to do it, be one thing. But if he was with the intention that it was going to happen, that it was going to scam his fans, would that be legal grounds? Because technically, he was paid. We could get into some weird First Amendment stuff here. Gonna have to think on that.
People are focused on other things. Coffee is busy. You know, he's busy with the big frogs like Logan Paul and shit. He's not gonna expose me. Nobody's gonna expose me. I'm too much of a small fry. Nobody's gonna even notice.
I just said
also, I'm distracting everybody with my random puck shit on the.
Hold on. You know what? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at Adam 22's. Adam 22 X account. Let's see how many followers this guy has. Let's see how much he really wanted to get away with this. Without looking, guys, what do you think the amount of followers he has just on X? Well, if he did say ad, like, I don't know if he put ad in there or not, but the thing is, like, if it was an intentional scam towards his audience, like, where's the legal bounds in that? Because then that goes to the thing of kind of what the entire Logan Paul thing is with, was it intentional? Was it not? Is it the Logan saying like, hey, they're the ones who spent the money. They're the ones taking the risk. They should have known better. But that's what, was being reported to the SEC. So that is true. You're right. Intent is a part of the law. But guess how many followers he has? He has 1 million followers on X. I'm going to repeat myself, 1 million followers. And that's just on one platform. Let's go Adam22 on Instagram. On Instagram, 1.4 million followers. And this guy thought he was only going to get a slap on the wrist. This is what you call dumb. D-U-M, dumb. I don't know, like, it's kind of like, maybe, so think about Smash JT for a second, right? He has over 100,000 subscribers. And I can see, depending on the kind of creator you are, how someone could think, I mean, I have over 2,500 subscribers roughly. He has over 100,000. Now, that's a big gap, right? 2,500 to 114,000, big gap. But the thing is, I understand in the grand scheme of things, like, yes, that technically 100,000 isn't the biggest in comparative to a lot of other creators, right? But it's big enough. But you also have to understand the situation that you're in. So let's just say I royally fuck up. Like I have fucked up, but not royally. If I fucked up, no, wait, no, that doesn't. Sorry, I had to think about it. I was trying to wrangle a Smash AT, but no, sorry, that's not relevant. But the thing is, like, I can understand the mentality of a million versus maybe Taylor Swift. So he probably thinks that 1 million is still a small pond, and it's not. That's what happens when there's all these people that are famous, but like B celebrity, C celebrity famous. They think they're just going to get a slap on the wrist. Okay, well, let's look at interactions then. Let's see, 100,000 views, but only 277 likes in comparison. Let's see, anything that jumps out? No, but I think that okay. Yeah, sorry, looking at his numbers, you actually might have a point. Yeah, you have a point here, Zombie. The interactions aren't great in comparison to the views. Like, they're fine, like, nothing to sneeze at, but still, lots of money to be had either way in comparison. I think it's like, it's one thing to compare yourself to another content creator or like if someone gets in trouble versus another, but you also have to understand the following that you have, the interactions you have. You have to consider all those things. You also have to consider your reputation because you're the face of a brand. If your face goes under, just like I was saying before when I was talking about Dude Perfect, you can't just slide in another member from Dude Perfect. You can't do a replacement with them. They're a very personality based company. I don't know. Sometimes you just look at stupid, and I don't know. Maybe I should be less surprised because of some of the shit that I've found in my own content creation of reporting on people that step on rakes, of how dumb people can be. It's because they think they're so smart, and they're not.
The internet. So essentially, he wanted to be.
And if you get caught by me, I'm fucking dumb as rocks. If you get caught by me, wow.
A slippery little snake, right? Oh, the spotlight's not on me. And, he's kind of right there, right? Clearly from this interview, bro is absolutely irrelevant. That doesn't give you a free pass to just scam people. That is just not okay. Heck, we got people like Johnny Somali who have no money, no career, and no clout, yet people still talk about him because they just don't like his actions. You don't have to be popular to be exposed. But I do see his logic, and a lot of people sort of use that to get away with scummy actions. Then he talks about having absolutely no idea about the rug pull, even though Coffee obviously told him about it.
I mean, need I say more? The guy realized what a lot of people realize, which is just like, if everyone's doing it and you do it, you probably get away with it. And so people like Adam22 just think, oh, not that nobody would care, like he says in this addressing, but he thinks he can get away with it. But then he takes a step further, which I cannot allow, and he says, oh, I had no idea something nefarious would have happened.
And I also had no idea about any sort of nefarious intent. People are saying that this was a rug pull.
Which it was.
No, I didn't realize that this was going to be the same type of thing that I've watched so many CoffeeZilla videos about.
Adam, I told you. This is the thing. This is what kills me. Is people, when I come to them, they go, oh, I had no idea. If I had known.
It's kind of like Alana Pierce saying, there are no receipts. Guess who found them? Between myself and Harmless Opinions, we found them.
I would have never done it, right? They say, if you had only warned me, Steven, if only you had told me before, I just wish I had known better. This guy knew better. He knew. People are literally planning to snipe the coin, make a bundle off someone who doesn't know any better. He just had no idea, guys. It's not like somebody was telling him as before it happened.
I think I believe Adam, guys. He had no idea. I mean, he only openly talked about it. Coffee warned him about it. He responded, but he still had no idea. You know, makes perfect sense to me. This whole situation
Nobody did find
reminds
him.
me of KSI, who pulled.
You know, it's actually really interesting just because of the way that I make my content. And the thing is, that's why I think I'm going to go through more of a Smash JT hypnotic route right now and doing more live streams and making videos on those, because I have a video where I've done the research on anything, and it wouldn't surprise you of what you guys found. Like, oh, look what nobody found. You know, that, yeah, this is kind of, like, no wonder this, and this, and this. I don't want to give it away too much, but I'm I haven't found like the thing. You know what I mean? I haven't found the ending. Or I haven't been able to find a way to maybe make one of the points like a really good ending. But I think it's lacking right now, and I need more time. And if I can make clips out of these live streams, then that gives me more time, because then I'll provide the people who aren't watching live streams, some additional content, and that gives me some breathing room to actually have time for research.
Pulled the same excuse, right? I'm just too stupid, guys. I just didn't understand.
Because it's not every day where Alana Pierce, she does an interview where she straight up says that she helped build the lore to Kratos. Like, that just doesn't appear out of nowhere, like, every single day. Like, sometimes it takes time and finding the right info to the right site. There is one thing that's going to blow your mind. That's just a weird connection to something I found. But I don't know. Maybe I should make that a selling point. I'll think about it.
And what I was doing. I might be a mega millionaire, owner of several bajillion businesses, but I just don't understand basic things. It's too complex for me. You know, tweeting the exact opposite of what I'm doing. I thought my audience would mind read me, know that I'm stupid, and do the exact opposite of what I say, right? Absolutely ridiculous individuals we have to deal with on the internet, bro. And I've kind of realized at this point, crypto scams are like the easiest way an influencer can make a quick buck, rip off their audience, and then just disappear with like no consequences. I think the only easier way to make money is probably like OnlyFans or something, but at least nobody is getting scammed there. They know what they're getting. I mean, there's a whole different set of issues with that, but this is not like a new thing. Essentially, the reason people do this is because they feel like they're not going to get prosecuted for financial fraud or something because it's just not regulated. And yet, top to bottom, we got everybody.
I mean, there's a point there. Like, we think about a lot of like at the time, like you'd see those child actor stars like Lindsay Lohan. Like, the book was actually thrown at her actually quite a bit, but also wasn't. And I'm just saying that in comparison to other celebrities. So, like, I know that she spent a little bit of time in jail. I know that she had some community service, but I'm also not ignorant enough to say that's like, if it was a regular everyday John that couldn't afford really expensive lawyers, that you would have spent way more time in jail, way more time in community service, and that fine would not and a $2,000 fine doesn't hurt you, big celebrity. It's, you have to do comparisons, but you have to understand the context of which they're being charged, and in comparison to what's been charged before in similar situations with other celebrities.
Doing this, from Logan Paul to the idiots like the Hawk 2 girl who just blew up, and every idiot in between like Adam 22. And the people falling for these scams are just another breed, right? How many times do people need to warn you that you're not 200 IQ? You're not the only one that's gonna make money from it. You're not the exception. You're not gaming anything, all right? The odds are rigged against you, all right? You're gonna get scammed, so stop falling for this shit. Then Adam says that he thought that Coffee's warning was a joke. I don't even know what that means.
I want to go through the rest of this because it just sheds light on the my general frustration with influencers at large. We've sort of gone through cycles of people promoting kind of bad things and getting a little pushback on it. But ultimately, some of them are realizing now that if there are no consequences, or if there is really a low chance you're even going to get any coverage on it, it's maybe worth the risk of just promoting things you have no stake in, that are scammy, or you don't even use, because whatever, it's just the bag. That's all that matters these days, right?
That kind of reminds me, like everyone remembers, and I don't know, I've had YouTube Premium for a while now, but oh no, wait, that wouldn't matter. Like, how long has it been? And you guys probably remember this, where everyone was promoting Raid Shadow Legends because apparently they were just shilling out the money to content creators. On one hand, you go, that's a nice bag, and I have, employees to feed and yada, yada, yada. But also at the same time, it's like, my reputation's on the line here. Maybe I need to be a little bit smarter.
Right? Nothing else matters except money.
Coins, it's like, to me, I thought that everybody would kind of get the joke.
Are you talking about Lindsay
Lohan? There's a lot of
Lohan?
people out there trying to make money off meme coins. So yeah, I guess some people lost money or whatever.
Coffee kind of said he won.
Some people lost money or whatever. Dude, you have to be able to. If one day, like, a sponsor comes up to me, like, I'll take that seriously, because that brand is trusting me, especially if it's something that I would love to use. Like, dude, you have. I don't know. I don't know. It's one thing with Alyssa Mercante, who's now being a content creator. But then I look at people like Adam22. I just look at them and I go, man, you should know better.
On you, were you not concerned when he when he said that?
I mean, to me, it was just like a joke.
It was a joke. I got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for, according to Adam22.
Hilarious joke, actually. Ha 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 ha. Very funny. Just a prank, bro. It was a little gag, you fool. Yes, I made $100,000 off of scamming my audience, but it's a funny hee hee hee. Bro, I'm sick of this. Adam22 needs to be humbled. Bro needs a Vitaly
I'll reach out to him. Why not?
In a Philippines prison. By the way, did you guys see that Vitaly literally shrunk in half? I mean, it's hilarious. Bro acted like this tough guy trying to harass people in public, and now he's literally just deteriorating in the prison cell.
I have no idea.
I mean,
who
I'm
that
just
is.
guessing the
Wait, who's that?
steroids finally wore off, and Peen's prison. Bro, I'm sick of
Who's
this.
this?
Adam22 needs to be humbled. Bro needs a Vitaly experience in a Philippines
Vitaly.
prison. By the way, did you guys see that Vitaly literally shrunk in half? I mean, it's hilarious. Bro acted like this tough guy trying to harass people in public.
Wait, did he get
and now
deported?
he's literally just deteriorating in the prison cell. I mean, I'm just guessing the steroids finally wore off, and I'm guessing he's not getting enough food as well. So yeah, F around and find out, dude. Anyways, back to Adam22. If you legitimately think it's a joke, like a funny meme, that you're scamming your own fans out of money, the people who supported you and gave you a career, you're just a disgusting, deplorable piece of shit. Turns out other people actually work really hard for their money. They work an actual job, and they can't just pimp out the mother of their child to make the money back like you do. Now, after this,
Literally
Adam
fucking
makes
your
like
way up to the top.
dumbest comparison ever. He compares crypto scams to a regular sponsorship.
Ad deal type
No,
thing. I do ad deals all the time for, like, thousands of dollars. Why would I not do something for hundreds of thousands of dollars? Same level of weight as when I do an ad for a fantasy sports thing. I feel like every single person that watches my content knows that I don't play fantasy sports. I felt like, in the past I was doing ads for something that was like a vape, but it's flavored air. And I feel like every single person who watches that ad gets it. That I don't know what the am I using a device to inhale flavored air? I'm going to be honest with you. No, I'm not.
I mean, is that not insane to anyone else? Like
Well, hold on. Okay, so I know exactly what product that he's talking about. He's talking about a product called Fume. And the thing is, sometimes you can promote a product that you believe in the cause in. And Fume is essentially trying to be a replacement for, a vape pen or a cigarette. It's something, it's still health conscious. You're promoting, a healthier alternative to get you off of nicotine. You don't, a lot of times you don't necessarily have to use the product. You just want to promote better health. God, I mean, that I keep having to remind myself, people are dumb. It doesn't matter how much money they make. People are dumb. I'm gonna need a cigarette after this.
Excuse is, well, you guys should have known I never would use the stupid stuff I'm selling you anyways. That's so crazy.
So Adam 22's masterful response is, well, actually, everything I promote is a scam, and I don't believe it in any way. So,
okay, you want to someone who I respect, for example. Let's get out of here for a second. Sydney Watson. Great content creator. I love her shit. Makes amazing stuff. She is not a smoker. She has been sponsored by Fume. Because she's like, hey, would you like to not smoke cigarettes and have a healthy alternative that's not a vape? A lot of people get behind that. I mean, it's not rocket science, dude. That was the worst example he could have possibly given. It's one thing if BetterHelp came to him and said, hey, you want to sponsor us? We, we help get cheaper therapy to people, so that's online, and that we have all these options. And maybe he's been against therapy his entire life. That would be an example of hypocrisy. But no, Fume, you could have sold that easy peasy lemon squeezy. Hell, if Fume came to me, I'd be like, hey, don't be like me. If you are smoking cigarettes and you want to get off of them, I have tried it before. It is a good alternative, but just like everybody else, I've fallen off the wagon and, started smoking cigarettes again. But, this still really helped with cravings, because it really did. Right? Just because, how many people in AA, fall off the wagon, it doesn't mean that that AA doesn't help people, right? Because that's a behavior-based activity. Drinking, smoking, all that jazz. But Jesus Christ.
So it just doesn't
people are dumb.
matter.
People are dumb.
Let's just break that down. I think the sponsor comparison is really weird. And not even the specific one.
Wait, did Adam 22 actually do Fume reads? Wow. If what you're saying is correct, Zombie, and he did do Fume reads, well, now that sponsor's never gonna talk to him again.
He talked about. Obviously, if you want to do sponsors, that you generally want it to be something you believe in. That's the best case scenario, right? For example, I use NordVPN. I wouldn't mind promoting it. Whatever, obviously, not paid video, by the way. But even sponsors you don't really believe in, I think it's fine to promote it as long as it's not an explicit scam, right? Because content creation is a hard career if you need to pay the bills or whatever, or it's helping you produce better content. Viewers mostly understand that. You can promote the random mobile game or whatever the hell.
I said
perfume or the electrolyte pack or whatever, as long as it's helping you make better content, pay your editors, pay your rent, whatever. But I think comparing stuff like that to a literal crypto scam, the purpose of which is to give you literally no value. You're not buying a product or a service or anything. The whole point is to trick your fans into thinking they have a chance to make money, so they invest a bunch in it, and then you just rug pull underneath them, right? And you essentially
an actual grifter.
scam them out of all of their money. That is completely different. And one of those is borderline illegal, if not actually illegal. Obviously, I don't know the exact like lawyer terms or the specific law that's being broken, but it does fall under some level of financial fraud, I would think. Anyways, then Coffee talks about how Adam is more pressed with YouTube videos rather than being caught by the law.
So, yeah, I guess some people lost money or whatever.
Oh, and finally, I should say, I too find it unacceptable that this guy's biggest concern is a YouTuber making a video instead of like what he's doing being caught by law enforcement. The fact that never occurs to this guy is...
Okay, I'll trust CoffeeZilla. I know that we were both kind of debating a little bit like the legalities of this, but if CoffeeZilla is saying like, yeah, this is like straight up illegal, I'm going to trust him on that. Well, not blindly. I mean, we've seen his work, so...
actually the worst part. I think if you promote things that you know are a scam, there should actually be real consequences, but I guess that's asking for too much.
Yeah, I mean, there should obviously be consequences if you're promoting something you absolutely know is a scam, which Adam22 did in this case. It's a completely different thing if you were being
And the thing is, like, CoffeeZilla, he's in a very different spot because he doesn't have to rely on sponsors. And I'll give you a good example of that. Patreon, CoffeeZilla. The thing is, a lot of people believe in what he does. Let's see. I think, does he show off how many he has? Hold on. I'll join for free just for fun. See if I can see anything. Skip for now. Okay. Now, I mean, that's his right not to reveal the amount of subscribers to his Patreon. I mean, I personally don't like it, but or it's not that I don't like it, it's just I'm like, I'd rather a little bit more transparency with potential people. But if I remember correctly, CoffeeZilla has, to my knowledge, because I do know that the numbers used to be there before, he has a ton of support for his Patreon that is $5 a month. And I believe it's the only thing that he has. And apparently he has so much support that he never needs to get a sponsorship, ever. Which is a great place to be as a creator. People believe what you do. His Voidzilla, it helps him be able to put out content that's more like him in the void, just, you know, speaking his mind, just kind of small things that he's noticed. And then he has his main channel, CoffeeZilla, where he does the really big exposés. Yeah, and he occasionally sells merch. Let's see, for his lawsuit with Logan Paul, he's like, hey, I want to give you actually something tangible for you to have rather than blindly donating. Which is a very, not only a smart business move, but it's a very consumer-friendly move. It reminds me of Linus Tech Tips, you know? It's like, hey, you know, it's one thing to, you know, throw money at a screen, but hey, why don't you do a merch message so that, you know, when you buy something, you also get a message and you get a product.
Misled or taken advantage of in some capacity
Very consumer friendly.
Or whatever. But the thing is, with the modern day crypto scene, I'm pretty sure everybody knows now that this stuff is scammy, and Adam was personally informed as well. If Adam was actually smart, he would not even respond to CoffeeZilla. At least then he could claim ignorance, like, oh, well, I just didn't know about this crypto stuff, man. Oh, I didn't see your message, CoffeeZilla. My bad, actually. But obviously he's dumb as a goldfish. He can't even think straight for more than 2 seconds. He's so cuck-brained. But I didn't think that Coffee could literally make an entire career out of this. I didn't know, like, how many of these crypto scams were actually there. The fact that he has entire channels dedicated to this shit. And the worst part is that Adam22 is kind of right. He actually got it right that, you know, you can pull out one of these scams and then go on with their career and nobody's going to care. In fact, KSI, Logan, and Mr. Beast all did this type of dumb shit, and they all used their respective excuses. Well, I'm too stupid, guys. Oh, I made a game. I was actually working on it. Oh, it was my team that did it, not me, even though I'm definitely very involved. It's a bunch of scumbags who were looking for a quick.
Well, hold on. No, okay, to my knowledge, Mr. Beast had a game. He's done 2 of them to the best of my knowledge. So he had one where, like, for some people, depending on the phone, it was about. So the first one was keeping your finger on the button, and and some people would have their finger on the button and stay up all night. And for some reason, something would glitch on their phone, and then it wouldn't work. And then the second time he did it, he hired a developer that would move the target around so that you had an active user, and then it also and then it also lowered the chances of people cheating, because there were some people that are able to cheat using some sort of mechanism to keep something on the button at all times. But the thing is, like, stuff like that happens. I don't think Mr. Beast has scammed anybody, though. Like, not intentionally, to the best of my knowledge. Oh, okay. I wouldn't say that's it messed up, but it does single out a lot of people. I'd have to know a little bit more context with that, Zombie. But that doesn't sound like a scam as much as it sounds like an oversight. Just based on the little knowledge that you gave me on that.
Quick, easy buck, and honestly, it worked. They got their millions, and nobody cares anymore. They all have thriving careers, and they're all, like, loved by their communities. And this is not, like, minor petty stuff. This is millions of dollars in potential financial fraud. Like, stuff that can legitimately put you in prison. And that's kind of why people like Coffee are so frustrated with this whole thing, with how many people there actually are getting away with.
See, people took accountability, right? Unlike these fucks.
With all of this type of shit. Now, I also wanted to look at this clip of Adam just admitting he knew exactly what he was doing, and he's like insulting the intelligence of his own audience, meaning he knows that they're stupid enough to fall for his scam.
And you know what they say, desperate times call for desperate measures. The guy had already shilled himself out to a crypto shitcoin that he dubbed the coin.
They're not going to Adam22 for their financial advice?
They know about lean. They know about yerkies.
Oh, God.
They know about probably gooning out, beating their meat for hours at a time. I don't think that they are crypto spectators.
Right, so remember that.
They continue to step on rakes. Why do they continue to step on rakes? Hold on, let me rewind that for a second.
Even though I'm definitely very involved, why people like Coffee are so the intelligence of his own audience, meaning he knows that they're stupid enough to fall for his scam.
And you know what they say, desperate times call for desperate measures. The guy had already shilled himself
in prison, and that's kind of why people like Coffee are so frustrated with this whole thing, with how many people there actually are getting away with all of this type of shit. Now, I also wanted to look at this clip of Adam just admitting he knew exactly what he was doing, and he's like insulting the intelligence of his own audience, meaning he knows that they're stupid enough to fall for his scam.
And you know what they say, desperate times call for desperate measures. The guy had already shilled himself out to a crypto shitcoin that he dubbed the coin.
They're not going to Adam22 for their financial advice?
You know what? Okay, I finally got my thought back. The thing is, like, there would have been an easier way for Adam22 to get away with this. If he would have left CoffeeZilla on red or never opened the app and then never talked about it here. These people just continue to open their mouths. Like, I think he would have gotten a slap on the wrist if he didn't talk about it.
They know about lean. They know about yerkies. They know about probably gooning out, beating their meat for hours at a time. I don't think that they are crypto spectators.
Right, so remember that DM he made. This is basically the same sentiment here, where he says his audience knows nothing about crypto. So what does that actually mean? That means they don't know shit and they'll
Yep.
probably just listen to their favorite
If he would've
creator
just played
rather
stupid.
than doing their own independent research. And it's such a sweet deal for you. You make a quick buck, they lose their hard-earned money, and they have no idea what even happened. And you know, I'm defending the people who get scammed a lot because obviously nobody deserves that, right? But I just can't get over the fact that people watch Adam22 and thought that investing in something he promoted was a good idea.
Yeah, like remember Dink Doink that Logan Paul promoted? I'll give him this, that he was smart in one set. He said it's a shit coin that I believe in. You like, should you buy it? Probably not. But I also think you should, which is a very great way to cover your ass. I mean, it might still be illegal, just because I've heard rumblings about investigators looking at Dink Doink now because of the whole CryptoZoo thing. But yeah, I believe so. But I think I'd have to look into Jake Paul a little bit more because it's been a while since I've seen any real big controversies from him. But he's been pretty under the radar, as far as I can tell. He's not really getting into a lot of trouble. I think probably the only thing would be his fight with Mike Tyson. That seemed a little just odd publicity.
Like, who actually is his audience? The demographic has to be like iDubbbz, dude, because nobody enjoys this level of cuck behavior. You gotta be a special type of lobotomite to enjoy current day Adam22 content. Bro humiliated his wife and kid for a few bucks and apparently is still broke. Like, it's just so sad.
Jason Love piping out Adam22's wife on a yacht. They put a nice little visual image up there, which I will not be showing you guys today. But Adam replies to that and says, so
that is
proud
a
of my
possibility.
baby going out and paying the bills while I get my finances together. Gotta think about the family business, and sometimes the family business requires a large man blowing a load in her mouth. Which is obviously a disgusting way to talk about the mother of your children, but when you bring a child into the picture and you're posting her on Instagram and all these different things, something about it just becomes deeply immoral to me.
It is absolutely immoral because they just aren't thinking about their kid or the trauma they'll have to grow up with. Adam clearly has zero respect for his wife and vice versa. And I mean, to each their own, obviously, they can do whatever. I personally find it repulsive and disgusting. And I think there's a pattern. If your morals are shaky in one aspect of your life, turns out your morals can be very shaky in other aspects as well. So it's no surprise someone like this did something like that. And it seems like Adam has just accepted his fate.
Is that if my next child...
The thing is, look, as much as I'm willing to shit on someone who has an OF account and is an OF model. Kind of the way, here's where I rationalize it. There's the OF models that do understand the consequences for going into that line of work and the public shame of that. If they own it in a very realistic way of yes, I do understand the consequences and hopefully I'll be able to save enough money to retire. And yes, I do want kids in the future, but hopefully I know the internet is forever. And I know that there's a very good chance that this would be a consequence for my kid. But, at this moment, this is what I feel like I have to do and da-da-da. Like, if you can at least somewhat rationalize it, doesn't mean I'm going to agree with you necessarily, but if you rationalize it in a reasonable manner, I'll be like, okay. But then you see those people on those chicks on what's it called, the whatever podcast that just thinks that they're gonna live in this utopia that people should accept them no matter what. That's where I lose a lot of respect for people with OF accounts. I hope you guys understand the fine line that I'm walking with that opinion.
Child comes out African American, I'm gonna love him or her and raise them like my own because that's how woke I am, brother.
Your daughter is going to need therapy when she gets older. Everything you guys do is on the internet. You think she won't find out? All because your love for money is stronger than your love for her. And I guess that one hit Adam a little bit too close to home because he would end up blocking this guy.
Well, turns out the truth hurts. Now click this video or you grow up and become an Adam22, which might be worse than iDubbbz at this point. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Okie dokie, guys. Well, a few things. Thank you so much for everybody that was here at the very beginning of the stream, and for those of you at the end, and everyone who came in the middle, like Adam22, his wife. Hey yo, got him. But I think I'm gonna end the stream here because I think we've been going since 6:15 ish, so almost 4 hours. Zombie, yeah, I do. Hold on. My oldest sis was a dancer. And saved and saved and saved and saved and found a good man in the oil business, and they eventually saved enough money to leave both jobs and live as a family in one house now. So yeah, like I would say that, you have a better chance of like not of the public shame, especially in the internet age, if you are, in a club, rather than on the internet. But yeah, there's always those rags from riches stories. There are always stories like that. I'm not gonna, you know, uh, as long as the intention is pure and the rationalization is reasonable, because you can be unrational and still reasonable. At, uh, what do I mean by that? Like, oh, it's one of those desperate times, desperate measures kind of deal. That's what I mean by that. But yeah, no, if someone is in such dire straits that they've become an OnlyFans model and they did that for a short amount of time, then that's fine. But if afterwards, like Alyssa Mercante is like, I was a proud cam girl, it's like, then I'm not going to have any respect for you, right? Anyway, let's see if the cool thing that I like doing is actually going to work. Probably not. Shit. I hope it works. I really do hope it works. Hopefully I didn't minimize it. Oh man, I minimized it. It's probably not gonna work, but I'm gonna still try. Okay, I'm gonna do the roll credits thing, and hopefully it works. And remember, you are somebody, I am nobody, and I hope that you have a fantastic day. Did I already mess it up? I think I messed it up. Yep, I messed it up. Hold on. One second. Let's see. It worked.